I'm Ari, and with me today is Rainy. How are you doing, man?
Hey, Ari, glad to be back. Really happy, excited that the week has come for the Imperial EU tournament. And it's going to be the second one. So the first one was last weekend. We got to see just a little bit of what Europe has to offer. This time, the next week comes and people are more prepared and ready to give it their all in this next tournament.
We had some very
Не пойму почему.
exciting matches, and this time we have some very good people signed up as well. For example, we have Redois, who last time around sadly got kicked out in the very first round against one of the best European players, but this time he already made it to the quarters, so we'll see some amazing Kung Fu Master gameplay.
Yeah, it's funny because Redois, or Rat Eyes as he likes to be called, he, in the last tournament, he lost to Enel, like he said, and he also doesn't like that matchup of Kung Fu Master against Blade Master. And I was following his path along because I was curious, because in my opinion, I feel like my bias, I would say, is Rat Eyes. I have a bias towards Rat Eyes to win, especially because both in the Imperial EU tournament and also in the High Fidelity tournament that happened the day after, well, he got stopped by Enel, and then in High Fidelity he got stopped, I think, at third place or so by Bev. Yeah. And he's kind of like in a similar situation as what Daka was in, I feel like, Errol, in the North American tournaments. A very good player, but he just couldn't really, you know, show his full potential in the tournament scene quite yet. And I think he's just starting to get comfortable in that environment, just starting to, you know, get into his groove. It's interesting because his path so far in the Imperial EU tournament number 2 has been filled with Blade Masters and Blade Dancers. He's actually had to fight through a lot of them, and he's been very successful, as you can see, making it to the quarterfinals. So against one of the matchups that he considers his worst matchup, he's doing really well. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and if possibly he could take the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely one of my favorites to win this tournament. We're currently just waiting for one more participant to start the quarterfinals. And while we're waiting, I want to give attention to our giveaway. Today we have
Ребята, пишите, сильно лагает, нет? Что-то у меня потери, какие-то кадров идут.
They were nice enough to supply one initiate pack to our European tournament as well as the NA tournament. To have a chance to win this initiate pack, make sure to follow the stream, and we will be giving out that pack at the end of the tournament. Alright, so Donjon just replied. I am going to invite him. First matchup is going to be a Blade Dancer versus a Destroyer. Very even matchup, I would say. Both classes definitely have a good chance in winning, though I would give the edge to the Blade Dancer.
Yeah, I think that in general, Blade Dancers have it really nice because they have a good mix of defensive cooldowns and aggressive cooldowns. And on top of the fact that the health bars move so quickly, I think it really benefits Blade Dancers because they're kind of a low health class to start with. But if you get to that critical point where you're one-shotting all the classes anyways, then that is kind of negated, right?
Yeah.
In the first place, especially with Red Ray.
Норм 0-2. Тут может еще подлагивать сама трансляция, которую я рестримлю, потому что все-таки это Twitch. Ну ладно, то у меня 10% потери кадров. Короче, я так понял, турнир 3 на 3 будет. Вот, подвисло сейчас. Ну, интересненько, 3 на 3 мне нравится режим новый. Ну, чутка это сам Twitch лагает. Если лагает, попробуй посмотреть на ютубе, ссылка в подписи, там тоже рестрим трансляция идет. Ну, моей, то есть я транслирую на Twitch и на YouTube. Жалко, что у меня тут ребят никто не пришли, потому что в одну каску тупить буду, я вообще не шарю особо в скиллах там. Это уже смешные тыквы насобирали на бошку.
making their way through the tournament. We're casting from the quarterfinals this time around, so we're going to see a lot more matches.
Четвертьфиналы, говорит, кассет.
Dungeon jumps in.
О, квадраты у них прям пошли.
There's a reflex roll, tries to chase it down, but doesn't quite get it. Blade barrier from Icelam. He's going to give him some protection. I believe that was...
Оп, лаги.
Red Rage popped. Firesmith to get in on the blade.
Ой-ой, что-то у них с трансляцией вообще беда прям.
Grab Pentaslash, but he's already down to about 30% health. And here comes another jump and catches the Blade Dancer again. And there's a good shield stun. There's no tab available, but I don't think he has chi. Doesn't quite get it. And the counterattack from the Blade Dancer. Here's the animation cancel into the air combo. And that was so much damage. Down below half health is Dungeon. What can Asylum do after this? He gets the grab. That's going to do a lot of ticking.
Никто не вылазит помогать, что самое интересное. Слайд-шоу это у них. У них прям квадраты трансляции. Прям вообще тормозит. Начался когда файт, короче, началось. О, вот это запилили вообще в станлоке. Просто станлок поймал, два дестройера за некенсел. Вот сейчас смотри, когда они дерутся, нормально у них показывают, а как начинает возня, это... Так лагать начинает. Ну-ка я им напишу, что лагает.
Maybe that was, you know, maybe it isn't as one-sided as we made it out to be. Because the destroyer certainly had a good amount of buffer for that.
Yeah, it did seem that Iceland did take a little bit too much damage from the red spin though. I felt like Donjon, he procced his Fury very early without really pressuring too much afterwards. He didn't get a stun on, but then Iceland didn't get away from the Hurricane in time, and he did take quite a lot of damage in that.
Yeah, I agree. The red spin really did a lot of damage, and just out of curiosity, a little bit of a hiccup here. I think Rink had his game DC or something.
Alright, that's it. Yeah, I'm trying to whisper him for the invite. I guess he got kicked out, so we have a little bit of a downtime.
Okay, can we find somebody for a replacement for the lobby? Or are we gonna wait for Rink to come back?
See if anyone is around. Let's do this again. And we'll see.
Вон все говорят в чатике, там пишут у них, что лагает довольно-таки люто.
I have lead in the group. Who should I invite?
Сейчас посмотрим, может, ребят. А я так понял, они чисто это.
Okay.
So we'll just wait out that little bit.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention, like, Icelam actually caught the destroyer in a full combo. And perhaps that was just Dungeon knowing that.
Короче, это не турнир, пока они просто так разминаются. Точнее, они играть не будут, просто играют пока.
You know, he held his fire spin for quite long, like we mentioned.
Ну, вроде как 1/4 финал, ну, 1/4 уже будет стримить.
His blade barrier was not something that gained him a lot of pressure. He used it, but he ended up getting stunned out of it immediately without doing anything to the destroyer, and I think that really hurt him.
У нас один из БШ пытался, ну, участвовать в турнире, что-то пропустил, не успел на это. На 1/23, что ли.
To 20% health, and see if he can have his defensive game just improve just that little bit.
Yep, we're just still waiting. I think Rink should be in game again relatively soon.
Invite him, and it says player not found.
Yeah, I'm certainly not getting any reply from anyone. I think next time we'll definitely get someone in the backup in case something like this happens again. It's always unfortunate though.
The arena match invitation has been sent, so he should be jumping into the lobby soon, and we'll be going into the second match between Icelam and Dungeon. Now remember guys, there's the quarterfinals and we're casting in a best of 3. So it's going to be the first person to win 2 spars. Play up to 3 games. If they win a round in the game, or rather if they win 2 rounds in the game, then they get 1.
Сейчас он, короче, с умным видом объясняет, что такое бот-3.
So right now the scoreline between
что типа кто-то просто до 3 до 2 побед.
Resent. And so if Dungeon wins one more match right here, then he will get 1 point. And then he just needs to get 1 more point, and he will go to the semifinals. While we're in this break, why don't we take a look at the brackets a little bit and see what matches we have coming up.
So let me see if I can actually enable that. So the next
Накупили таких микрофонов, врубили все охеренное разрешение и не учли того, что YouTube, ой, Twitch в плане трансляции говно ссаное, поэтому и лупят на Twitch. Хоть бы рестрим сделали на YouTube, приятнее оттуда смотреть.
So it will be yeah, Destroyer versus a Blade Master actually. So we have another Blade Master. We made it pretty far.
Yeah, Shiva versus Radai is a very interesting matchup. I think they're two very strong players.
Сейчас выбирают по ходу матч, за кем полить.
The spar invite right now.
Alright, awesome. So we can get into the next match.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very interesting match. And again, Radai's stuck with all the Blade Master matchups on his Kung Fu Master. He's really had to fight through a lot this tournament. I think it's been putting a little pressure on him, but as a player, I feel like he has what it takes to handle it. He just needs to, you know, make sure he keeps reminding himself of like what he can do and just try to execute as best.
Вот и опять, как только поменял, фуллскрин сразу залагал. Вот красава, пацан, еще сердечком на спине.
Explosive start in the first match, and here he opts to use his blade.
Вот и все, лаги пошли.
And he's still playing defensively.
Надеюсь, что в спектат моде какого-нибудь.
Blade call to push Dungeon away, and he avoids the counter. Vortex into the reflex roll. No punish on that. Isolem's just gonna grab a lot of trouble right now. He should still have his tab, and I do believe that that was what he just spent right there. But Isolem is just gonna play. Doesn't reflex roll and gets grabbed up once again. And what is Dungeon's option after this? He drops him into the jump. There's a reflex roll, no chase down. And both players returning to the neutral. A red rage popped for Dungeon. And he's really looking to put a lot on myself, and he really needed.
Странную эпоху он выбрал для этого. Синий, а там же нет ничего бонуса. Что камбу будут ловить. Вот это лаги. Я пойду ругаться.
Return, a very nice response from our Blade Dancer here.
Again, I feel like it was a very surprising use of the Fury.
He popped it in the neutral, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He popped it in the neutral and wasn't really able to do much with it because his Fury was very low and he just wanted to refresh it, but that's definitely not the best way of using it, I feel. And he managed to put Isolem maybe a little bit. Isolem was like, yeah, okay. He just popped his Fury. He's just spinning away a little bit. I'm just gonna run away. And he did get a stun off of it afterwards. But I don't feel it was really worth it spending the Fury like that because he really didn't do a lot of damage with it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with you. He popped it in neutral and it worked out in the first game. But this time Isolem was a lot more ready for it. The shield stun instantly tabbed out of it, backed away, and then got the grab on Dungeon, and then from there he mounted his comeback. And that's going to be a good adjustment. Now, one of the things that you need to watch out for these players that are on the higher skill level is how they adjust and how flexible they are. And Isolem just demonstrated basically a 180-degree turnaround from the first match. He defended himself very well, backed away when he needed to, and mounted some very clean, organized pressure. Grab, whiffing, protects him in, chases him down, finally gets a tech chase. And that's going to mean that Dungeon gets put into the air combo. Let's see what Isolem can do out of it. Counter being used, and he actually does get knocked down. That's actually surprising to me. Isolem gets the spin counter, though, and Dungeon's going to be stunned up. Backdash away, nothing comes of that situation. And finally, there's a jump from the Destroyer, putting it into the daze, and there's a stun. 2 stuns being spent. Tab is still available for Isolem. Rage has not been popped yet, and Blade Call is going to defuse the situation into the Pentaslash. Blade Dancer puts the Destroyer up into the air, and I do believe he will still have
FM тоже. Ну, не знаешь, посмотри. Тот я матч предыдущий пропустил, посмотри. Комбит. Зато ЛСМ и класс 1 комбо. Я не пойму, что за мод такой странный, они не меняются, не помогают. Вот это. Вот сейчас станлок попадает, тупит син вообще. И никто не помогает, смотри, он просто АФК стоит. Что это? Ну и все. Они против одного ЛСМа дерутся, что ли, не пойму. Двое стоят тупо, ничего не делают. Просто Аник садит.
But I feel like he just got a little too antsy and tried to go for the killing blow when he shouldn't have. And then the red spin came out and the situation turned really poorly for the Blade Dancer, for Asylum.
Не пойму, что они творят. А, типа тренируется там, сливается хз. Что? Выбирает.
Yes. So he needs to win one more point. And if he does, he will be
он типа только первый засчитали, а эти два нет.
And right now, he's looking like he could do it. And I'm not so sure because I haven't seen a lot of other European destroyers play. Of course, there are a lot of destroyers that represent in North America, but actually even recently, there's been less.
А он вот сам стример играет. Ну, короче, что-то он стримит, не пойму. Когда начнется? Вроде как 1 на 1 должно быть.
They haven't actually made it that far recently. Dungeon might be looking to change that. He opens with the flaming wheel invul. Doesn't catch anything. The grab also whiffs from the Blade Dancer. And here comes the jump from the Destroyer, chasing down the Blade Dancer and a good shield stun. No tap spent for Asylum just yet. Vortex counterattacks with the chase. Gets the air combo. And he's going to look to mount some offensive pressure after this knockdown. Counter being procced, and there's a beautiful spin to avoid the CC.
Вот Дессер, это антистан просрал.
But Asylum actually did, and here's the classic combo from Dungeon. Fire spin with the rage, and this time Asylum is heading away, but he
классическая комбо для подземелья, он говорит.
В Dungeon. Down 20% health. There's a jump.
Да вообще странно, нету кнопки смениться. Они как будто в спектаторе наблюдают таким образом. Да, кстати, и они походу таким образом как пользуются за бьющимися. То есть я так понял, дерется сейчас Дестер и ЛСМ. Остальные выпаливают. А потом, когда дуэлька заканчивается, вот эта дуэлька заканчивается, они вызывают остальных и добивают. Вот все. Уничтожил.
I thought he could have finished it, but I guess he just didn't have enough to really finish off the destroyer. So I was just really missing there.
Ну это красава вообще, смотри. Форсяка красава. Все, Дестер 2-0. На сопле последний матч затащил.
And both players are kind of, you know, it seems like in a neutral game, they're kind of running around a little bit. And, you know,
мне пишут, что у них все норм с качеством, все у них так норм показывает, не знаю.
The Destroyer possibly you could describe as always aggressive because he's in the neutral game, he's straight up just popping cooldowns and just going at it. Yep. And Asylum is having trouble finding answers. I mean, most of his health was lost because, again.
Once again, he took so much damage from that. And he was away from it. So I'm very
ну, вроде сейчас не лагал, нормально.
The Destroyer, Donjong, managed to catch up to him.
Стан с крутилкой не на стан, ну... Я не знаю, кстати, да, в чем прикол такой. Дестер, кстати, походу тоже. А я не знаю, кстати, там ветки. Я не пойму, почему опять 1-0. Они тренируются или где? Вот Дестер опять антистан просрал. А и еще один. И ярость просрал, и это. Точнее, не ярость, это. И просто табает просто все. Просто затабал.
Pop the fury, do the hurricane, and you know.
Просто просрал все, вообще антистаны всякие можно и затабал в хлам.
That's the only thing I can think about there. It just really shouldn't. But he did get the opening. This time he opened really fast, instantly closed up to the Blade Dancer. Got some CC on there. Blade Dancer refused to use his reflex roll, didn't use his tab, and lost half his HP, even without the Destroyer popping any Fury. So
he did not use any cooldowns at all.
Yeah, so that's going to be... Yeah, that's it for the first quarterfinal matchup. He has won 2 matches now, so congrats to Donjong. He will
move on to the semis.
In the semis.
So the next match we're going to watch is going to be between Red Eyes and Shuba, which we talked about a little bit. So it's going to be the Kung Fu Master Blade Master match. Going to go on to face Dungeon. And it's difficult to say because we've only really seen Dungeon play once. But I'm interested to see how the other people will.
Да, Всем, по-моему, уже не раз проиграл.
There are definitely answers to that.
Well, especially if it's, for example, Red Eyes, who, if he would match up against him as a Kung Fu Master, you have a really easy time of QEing and assessing it and simply not taking any damage from it. Especially since your passive stacks proc up really quickly, and then you have a 100% evade chance.
Yeah, the alacrity really helps, or rather agility, I believe they call it.
Yeah.
So the agility will stack up very fast because of the multi-hits, and Kung Fu Master's QE has such a long invul frame, and each time you proc that puts up 1 stack.
Да-да, но они говорят, что best of 3,
Incredibly fast from it, and it also
но почему-то
gives them the evasion
2-0 уже все.
against this mitigation.
Сейчас, походу, другая... А, вот все, они типа вдвоем, вот эти 2 стримера, я так понял.
Okay.
И вот приглашают сейчас участников, а там наблюдающие друзьяшки.
Yeah, I've tried inviting him. I will always invite the top one, and you can just take care of the bottom.
I'll always invite the bottom side of the bracket.
But
So between Shuba, but what's more interesting to me is the possibility that Shuba moves on, right? If Shuba does move on,
Все, да, Дестру в чистую затабал, но ЛСМ какая-то 1/4 такая донная.
okay time against destroyers. They have their sword pool, which can open up destroyers despite their spin. Their kick is a very good tool to knock down the destroyer. And then combine that.
А он сейчас объясняет, короче, чем дестройера завалить лучше. Типа пинком, там подсечку, захватом.
The frequency of their side dodges also.
Definitely, they do have a lot of stuff to, dodge those, especially all of these abilities, and later on against the destroyer as well. Just a lot of stuns.
Да вроде сейчас нормально нормализовал.
Their QE and their block. So yeah, I think Suba will have a good matchup against the destroyer. But first of all, we will see Red Ace versus Xuba.
Kung Fu Master versus Blade Master, and this I have to say is one of my favorite matchups to watch for sure. Kung Fu Master versus Blade Master is it can be very fast paced and it can be very technical, but a lot of it's quite clear cut, right? The Blade Master is very cooldown oriented. To some degree, all the classes are cooldown oriented in this game, but Blade Master I feel more so. And the Kung Fu Master is very keen on trying to get in and break defense and use their evades to try to proc skills. And between those two, out his cooldowns, and the Kung Fu Master really needs to have a good read on his opponent to make things happen. So let's see, Red Eyes going in.
Что-то красава у Kung Fu Master против Бэма.
I think he backdashed in the air, but I couldn't really tell.
Сразу вижу почему-то этот
There's the martial dance into the days, and Shuba gets launched into the air. So the opening going to Red Eyes. Knockdown. He's not going to use anything except for the blazing palm right at the end. And there's the rising dragon. No tap yet.
Сейчас выходить будет Бэм со стана. Лаганул. Как раз в ключевом моменте неизвестный заюзал, не заюзал. Все. Чё такое? Свапнулся, короче. Видать, лицом на клавиатуру упал.
Yeah, we should just start from this again, honestly, since Red Ace already had not been able to restart.
Yeah, I don't think we have a ruling for what happens if they tag out. I almost want to say person who didn't tag.
Хьюба, кстати, знакомый ник с пиратки.
We'll have to talk to Everest about that.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk to Everest about that. So after this match, I think we should really take a break.
Ну все, пошел на резко.
Definitely, yeah.
Shuba gonna get the air combo, and I don't even know if these players are really playing. He's gonna use his Rising Dragon, gets the triple kick.
Оп, все. О, как так?
Strafe dodge from Red
Как так?
Triple kick proc. Ooh, and a good ice flower on the sword throw. That was actually really beautifully done by Red Eyes, but he's at very low health now.
Причем застанил.
Being used in a neutral game.
Все пытается дальней атакой. Все. Неплохо, неплохо, КФМ вообще. На сопле.
That since Xuba was the one who tagged out and still lost, I would give the win to Red Ace. And
yeah, that would be my gut feeling, and I feel like we have a slight amount of precedence for this in terms of, you know, when you watch, for example, fighting game tournaments, the person who presses the pause button gets an automatic loss. The one thing I will recommend,
we're gonna give a loss to the guy that tagged out.
Yeah.
And we're gonna give Red Eyes the win.
All right.
And is that gonna be set in stone? Like that's gonna be a consistent rule?
Yeah.
If the person who tags out, no matter if they're winning or losing, they will get the loss.
It's an unfair advantage, so they get the loss.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so we have a clear ruling on that, and I think it is a fair ruling. The worst thing you can do in these situations is give the choice to the players. Because it's really not up to them, and it shouldn't be up to them. I think it's not fair to the players to do that.
Yeah.
But now we do have an official ruling for it. Despite that, however, I mean, when Shuba came back in, he had a good string of offense and actually nearly killed Red Eyes. But Red Eyes actually came back. Good use of triple kick and chased him down, got the tremor into the pressure point, and the stun lock earned them the win. Beautiful animation canceling from the Kung Fu Master, seasoned veteran, Red Eyes. He will go up one match, or rather one round against Shuba.
Yeah. And he also had a very good opening, dodging the sword throw, being able to dodge that, then getting the stun onto Xuba. Very good opening as well.
Yeah, and later on in the match, we saw he ice flowered the next sword throw, so Red Eyes playing very well. Oh, and he iced Red Eyes really on point.
Oi, oi.
Gets the air combo, does Shuba in the end, uses the charge stun into his launcher, but Red Eyes is going to be feeling pretty comfortable about that. Another stun into the lightning draw. He's losing a lot of health. Tab being spent here for the Kung Fu Master.
Неплохо накомбил, да. Вышел, короче, с антистана и сейчас пытается закомбить. Но вот опять контр-антистан. И опять на эвку выходит. Ничего сделать не может вообще. Не может поймать на эвке. Плохой БМ. О, этот на эвке поймал. Сейчас раздавать будет вообще, причем там нечем и выйти. Ну все. Просто заникенселил. Все, 2-1. Хьюба вылетел.
Nuke out in these short amount of times. His animation cancelling is really top notch. Always a pleasure to see. And again, he managed to win, well, technically win the opening. He blocked the sword throw and the penta with his ice flower. But Xuba wasn't dazed by it, still managed to get another stun onto Red Ace and get pretty decent damage off at the start of the match. However, yeah, Red Ace getting the tap out, getting the escape, and then getting another stun on there and just doing so much damage. Very incredible.
Hey Ari, just to clarify, match, not one set.
Oh, did I set that wrong? Alright.
Yes, and also
the scoreline should be 1-0.
Там какую-то бобнилу себе в скайп добавили.
Well, right now it should be one match for Red Eyes.
Он теперь отображается в виде какой-то там розовой картинки. Под лицом китайцев.
And you just look at the animations from Red Eyes' character when he's doing the animation canceling. It's very clean.
Ребята общаются через Discord на самом деле. Программка у меня, короче, в подписи есть. Ссылка кому интересно, болталка ты довольно интересно.
Down just right. The tremor with the pressure point into the proc stun. It's not quite easy to pull off all the time, and Red Eyes does it perfectly twice.
Alright, well, this one is not too bad. Cuba can just tag in, Vino.
5 кьюба.
Now we'll just
И...
have
все-таки еще не это.
their
Непонятно,
opening
по
for
какому
both
принципу они считают, но почему-то один раз только ФМ выиграл, типа, и все.
Alright.
All these things happen. Hopefully we'll have a spectator
When
client at
if
one point.
if we do get a spectator client, it should play a lot more clean than
Yeah.
this, but
But it's still
Да, все, у меня
amazing
стримец
that
нормализовался,
to get
пакеты
these
перестали улетать
really
мимо,
big
что-то, видимо,
tournaments
подгружалось, хз.
despite, you know, having to do it in 3 versus 3.
Вроде на ютубе должно быть вообще без лагов. Ну, если только у них на твиче лаганет.
alright, so we're gonna start now.
Yep.
Red Eyes versus Shuba. Red Eyes has had all the wins so far. He's got them, you know, it looked close. The matches look close, but really Red Eyes wins. He's been playing so technical. He gets the martial dance. That's gonna start the open for the Kung Fu Master. Gets a relaunch.
Ну, не пойму, ну, не знаю, тут, к сожалению, ребята не пришли помогать мне объяснять скиллы, но почему-то у скилла, у этого КФМ заморозка слишком как-то короткая какая-то. То ли он ее специально разбивает, то ли что. Все, антистан проюзал. Ждет. Антистана от Бэма. Сейчас будут обстреливаться издалека. Поп. Сейчас за на СС кинул. А не, у него походу нет уже, где-то пропустил. Бах. Но не умеет станлочить. А вот КФМ хорошо станлочит, но Эвки ловит. И все, проюзал, короче, БМ антистан, и после этого поймал стан, и все, и в станлоке умер. Тут, собственно говоря, все логично. Ну, тут явно слабее играет Хьюба. Кунг-фу видно такой, кунг-фу мастер такой, привет. Пристрельный. Привет, ну вы поняли.
Red Eyes just demonstrated how you have to play when that tab option is still available. And I think it was pristine.
Hey Ari, so right it is at 1 match, 1 set now.
Oh, okay, so you guys, alright, sure.
So Red Eyes, if he wins this the next game, he will be moving on to the semifinals. And Shuba has yet to take a game off of the Kung Fu Master. And like I mentioned, the use of Rising Dragon, the animation canceling, the launches into the relaunches, just very, very calculated, careful play from Red Eyes. And eventually, when the Blade Master finally did use his tab, then we saw the Tremor come out, and we saw the big animation cancel combo to close it out for the Kung Fu Master. Blazing Palm is going to miss for Red Eyes. He uses the martial dance and catches Shuba anyways, chases down the reflex roll with his Rising Dragon into the air combo.
Опять зажал, короче, БМ. Антистан. Скамбит. КФМ явно прохавание в разы. Сейчас он потерпит немножко, есть время потерпеть. Не будет сейчас тратить найфочки его. А вот теперь, если поймает это в станлок, то будет юзать. А Кьюба до Талова держит антистан. Вот, заюзал. Зачем заюзал, непонятно вообще прям. БМ по КФМ, по сути, ему ничего не делал. Рано прям, и почему-то не антистан у него, ой, это не на стан выход, а просто вот так крутанул, по чуть-чуть подамажил и вышел, все. В то время, когда у КФМ антистан на стан, то есть он также выходит и начинает, может комбить сразу.
But our next matchup will be X-Shade versus Predu. So I will invite X-Shade.
Alright. Shade, and I will invite Predu. And unfortunately for Shuba, he gets knocked out at this point in the bracket, but I feel like that has less to do with Shuba playing poorly. But Rat Eye's just, he had all the answers, you couldn't get in on him. You get an air combo, you get him low, but all of a sudden he just comes back and makes all the right decisions, makes very good reads on his opponent, and then baits your tab out. A beautiful strafe dodge in that last match from Rat Eyes, and then he goes into Tremor and closes the game out.
Yeah. Well played. So X-Shade, we saw him last time on the Imperial as well. I believe it was against Colorize where he lost the semis. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
He lost in his semis to Colorize and then went on to win the third force place
Colorize
match against, I believe it was Enel.
Yeah.
He took third place.
Colorize поди на LSM.
Beat Enel there. Though it was Enel saying that it is a very bad matchup for him. But yeah, X-Shade playing really well, and even the match against Colorize.
Боятся, что Colorize нам получает люлей. Противник плохой. В смысле сильный. Плохой для него.
I agree. You know, X-Shade perhaps didn't really get his chance to shine because he got placed against Colorize, which we all know to be a very strong player in the European scene. Yeah. Possibly considered the strongest summoner in the scene right now in Europe. And X-Shade, you know, despite the fact that I feel like he's a very talented player, a very skilled player, when you're up against another player of that caliber, it's really hard to make your way through the brackets. And Europe is filled with all these kinds of traps, right? You have Bev,
Так. Ну, ребята какую-то хрень сделали с матчами с этими. Ничего не видно, чиники там. А, нет, видно. X-Shade, перду. А чё, при чем Colorize тут?
He's gonna use his flame wheel, try to counter up some damage and gets the launcher. The cat mine is not gonna be useful.
Быстренько застанил, играет через четверку на подброс. Это, о, что-то кот вообще прям сыпется. Все, сейчас табать будет. Лаганул. Ну все, что-то вообще изи кот. Кота. Все, заюзал антистан. Сейчас под бафом пытается попытается. СС-ку потратил кот. Сейчас будет нарезать. Ждет, когда скалу Дестр. О, получил. Захватит стант кота. Подсечку, точнее. Доджит, короче, да. Ой, эфочку. Вот на эфку поймал. Все, сейчас будет нарезать. Минус кот. Ой, лагануло. Не знаю, как поднял на это. Опять. Лагает. Оп, водуван упал. И опять водуван. Что на каштан на доджи сейчас? Он на каштаны идет. И опять по каштанам прыгает. Все, сдох. А нет. Коту надо просто сейчас пододжить. Там неплохо настакано уже. О, все, убил. Ну вот ошибка дестройера была о том, что она потоптал на каштанах. Нормально, еще он почему-то захват взял, подтащил самонера на каштаны и подбросил в воздух кота, чтобы тот на каштаны упал, еще, короче, постоял по полной. Такая ошибка вообще какая-то непонятная. Он вполне мог после убийства кота отойти, пододжить маленько там. И в итоге подождать всех отката большинства скиллов и просто стоптать его без кота, пацана этого.
Also, I thought that in the mid of the match, when the destroyer had to go defensive again, X-Shade had a lot of time to
Может, нервничает.
you know, Igshad would take it a lot more easily at that point, but then suddenly he doesn't get his cat into the defensive position. When Predu pops his fury and the cat just loses all of its HP in such a quick fashion.
Пацаны говорят, что в поклон не ложил кота.
Very impressive play from Igshad to
И типа, ну, из-за этого потерял быстро.
Oh, I think you actually...
Yeah, we had...
Опа,
Oh,
опа.
everyone's going in.
Oh my god. There we go.
Alright, let's just wait until both of them are outfight.
So, I just clarify with Rink so that won't happen again, but
У кота не защитная стойка атакующая. Ну вот видишь, а смысл?
killed off the cat, got the launcher.
Это же не это, не ПВЕ.
That was just a little too anxious, you know, just a little too early. He could have just waited for the summary to come out of
А мы не
stealth.
видим Ци Дестра.
Alright, so
Блин,
ready,
кажется, съехал.
and both are going to start now.
Okay, in comes X-Shade, trying to get the opener here. Predu uses his Vortex Spin to try to pull the Summoner in. The Summoner gets out of that situation, but this could be really bad for X-Shade. Into the knockup, Cat is still around. And he actually CCs both with a stun. Escape is nearly dead.
Вот опять. Блин, лагает.
What the heck?
Почему когда драться начинает лагать?
So fast. Flame Spin from Predu. It's gonna give him a little bit of defensive.
Все быстро потерял. И сейчас пытается дальше агрессировать Дестройер, причем зря, потому что он все контроли просрал. Ну и захвата нету. Еще и в Вадван попал, сейчас ждет. А, ну все, поймал. Сейчас, возможно, будет финальный этот комбат. Почему? Поймал. Вот он сейчас стан сработал на отскок. И все, и запинал ПКМом. Ну я не знаю, слушайте, ребята, как-то слабо играют вообще прям.
Very beautiful stun on both, popping his fury. X-Shade was busy with getting himself out of there tapping, and his cat still stunned, couldn't get it into defensive position, didn't recall it in time, and the cat just from 100 to 0.
Это вот без лозы. Ну, возможно. Так его ошибка, он лезет в упор Дестру и как-то неграмотно жмет этот. Неграмотно жмет Адуван.
Right now, the thing that X-Shade needs to focus on is putting his cat into defensive position.
Слабо, что Дестр играет, что Дестр просто тупо прет. КД, не КД, он просто прет. У него откатилось, он идет, бьет, и кот тоже, кот пытается как-то отбиться, просто тоже так же подряд в лицо падает. Лицом на клавиатуру, и кто победит, короче. Вот опять Адуван, этот, кинул каштан, и он прыгает, бегает, там нормально ему. Пофигу, что стаки копятся. Вот отошел на СС опять. Опа. Поймал его тычок на дэмэдж на двойной с под яростью. Все. Ну вот, поймал тут на стан Дестер, сунул 2 тычка под яростью. Так, Самонер потерял 40% хп, когда у него 50 было, и все там в панике просто у него там.
That smackdown just did so much damage. That aerial combo from the Destroyer with Fury active.
Yep, the Fury will give them the guaranteed crit, and the real big chunk of damage is before the escape was used. That fraction of a second where the Destroyer uses chunked away. I would guess almost half of the summoner's health, and then the escape happened, and it was just too late. He had the launcher ready to follow up. The instant X-Shade came out of stealth, Predu was coming for him. Put him into the air, and then the shield stun closed it out, and Predu 2-1. And in all 3 of these games that we watched so far, it's all been about Predu, I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like the loss in the first game that we watched was more about Predu dropping the ball rather than it was X-Shade finding an answer.
Ну, я так понял, бой идет до того, кому повезет. Кто там, у кого кнопка какая лицом не прожмется. По сути.
you just can't get any kind of.
Хотя Дестер довольно-таки быстро прожал комбу 2 очка. Ну, это, мне кажется, такая, как это... Странная стратегия, упор делать на эти 2 очка.
See if XJ has changed anything up. Jump into the daze. He's gonna chase down the reflex roll with the vortex spin. And Predu gets countered by the cat mine. Finally, that's gonna land. But Invuls and does the follow up into the air combo. Knocks down both the cat and the summoner. The shield.
Ну, поймал, кстати, хорошо так.
But he's still doing a lot of damage.
Дружбу заюзал. Блин, лагает.
Looking to put on pressure, just like in the other 3 games. So far, Xshade is still looking to be in a bad position. Predu finally backing away.
Он тоже ждет этих откатов скиллов. Непонятно зачем он табается, когда кот подходит. Вот опять каштан. И прыгать по ним. Да, еще идет его, смотри, прям в каштаны идет, стоит в каштанах, бьет, красава. И отошел, видел прямо Дуан и прыгнул табом на Дуан. Сейчас, короче, он проиграет тут. О-о-о-о-о-о! Нарезка пошла. Все, убил тычком. Вот дела вообще. Вот это дела. Прям просто в full хп замотал. Все ж хорошо было у кота, вообще прям замечательно. Ну да, наверное, все-таки у кота каштаны не на отсосы, иначе тогда в детстве не хватило. Он бы так не гулял бодренько.
Just completely destroyed Xshade at that point.
Oh my god, and the previous 3rd place finisher, Xshade, is looking to be knocked out of the tournament in the quarterfinals, in the round of 8. We've had some this time around that wasn't there last time. Predu is going to move on possibly to the semifinals, and
каштаны кидает кот 1 раз, хотя может и 2, да может и 3-то по сути-то. Там вроде как где-то какая-то фишка есть, что прям можно 3 каштана кидать. Ну да. Может и походу не на Джордце. Значит тогда Дестер бодро так не табался у них. Он пофигу вообще не ходит и все. Там какой-то вял едик.
If you're main and you want to learn how to fight against destroyers, one of the things that you can do is play the class itself. But here we go, Xshade on the verge of elimination. Predu playing so well. There's a reflex roll from the summoner. Tries to go for the vortex line that gave Xshade protection.
Блин, опять залагал. Что ж, когда замес идет лагать? Просто всадил.
Predu with a fire spin. Decimation of Xshade's pet. Jumps in for the days. Reflex roll. No chase down. Dandelion being spent. So Predu has the cooldowns. He's taking a lot of damage, and this is one of the problems when you kill the cat. He's going for it.
Несмотря ни на что, Дестер как-то странно дофига табается. О, кота восстановил. А у Преду все запилить. Ой-ой-ой, еще надо жестко устануть дэмэджем. Ой-ой-ой. Все, умер. Ой-ой-ой, F-ку. Все.
Oh man, the poor cat getting absolutely demolished at the start of the match. But Predu taking a lot of damage in the process, just trying to burst down the cat. And then
вот ошибка, далеко отошел и спокойно, я не знаю, лагануло, не видел, как возродил этот самонер. Пета. Просто выдрал его и все. С пета. Банды destroy for soul.
At that point, Predu being maybe 40%, Xshade being up with a full life cat. There's not really.
Oh my god, you have to be kicking yourself.
Wow, that was
for making that mistake. You have to be kicking yourself.
Dude, right now.
The thing is, it's just like one of those things that will happen one in like 1,000 times, you know? You're like, it's not that anybody like really forgets that a summoner can resummon their pet. It's just so rare that they're just like, it's not gonna happen in an arena match. And he got so comfortable, just like, hey, you know, in the last few matches, I've been able to back away and get my cooldowns up. You know, he's been kiting a lot in the last few matches. But this time around, XJ got smart, and he's like, well, if you're going to keep doing that, I'm just going to go ahead, and it pays off. It pays off, and all the games that XJ have been errors from the destroyer rather than necessarily really good play from the...
Вот чё, хоть что говорят, но лагает походу у них. Говорит, у нас все норм. Почему, когда начинается матч, все время лагает? Вот и опять Одуван бьет. Не ждет вообще, когда не считает Одувана. Просто табает вокруг вот сейчас. Сейчас опять будет Одуван. И все. Ну вот ребята вообще на каком-то лаке лютом играют. Один подошел Одуван, заюзал, просто по КД жмет Одуван. Все, убил. Один Одуван по КД жмет, просто когда чует вроде как вот сейчас должна быть опасность, прожимает, а второй просто не считает и лупит, просто всаживает все подряд. Что есть. Бить. Ну, может, пока работает. Да, играет его, если повезет и прокатит. Именно так пока выглядит. Для меня этот турнир вообще, ребята, не считают, не смотрят, что происходит. Просто, не знаю, смотрят на свои скиллы и жмут по КД и все. А там как, ну и пытаются там что-то ваздом уйти от атак. Пока особое кардинальное такое отличие от пиратки я не заметил по скиллам. Так, что у нас сейчас? Все еще они? Слушай, код и дестрой. Сколько же мы не сказали, бо-3? А лупят вроде как один раз сыграют, один раз выиграет, один раз. Непонятно. Раунд 1, сет 1, за несколько раундов до бо-3. Непонятно.
He needed more resources to really cover that gap and make up that health differential. So he's going to open heavy into this next round with the jump very early on. Tries to chase down XJ with some CC.
Сразу юзнул ярость и пытается нарезать кота, нарезал. Хоть с каштанов. И все еще табает, вообще пофигу. Просто давит табом. Все на F-ку скрипал. А, бо-3 по матчам, в каждом матче бо-3. Ну, бо-3 из бо-3, понятно. То есть тип раунда. Ну, опять раунд 0-0, счет 1-1. Вот, юзнул тайнвол и попытался заехать с подкида. Нарезает, все, дорежет сейчас. Странно, по-моему, он успел прожать щит и... Самонер не застанился, а просто ослабление поймал.
Really almost no life left. That was quite the close match, even though he lost his cat so early. And it really feels like, yeah, he just needs to get his cat into defensive stance and really cannot let the cat die this early.
Сейчас посмотрим, если у них... А, ну все.
And we've seen that happen time and time again. Xshade is just not really shy about throwing attacks into it, but maybe he needs to think twice about it, because that's a stun that earned the jump for Predu, and then the gap closed, and as we saw, the charge stun into the vortex, he didn't even...
Ну вот опять, раунд 1, ничего не пойму. Сет 1, сет это типа... сколько бот... Понятно. То есть 1-1 у них по встречам 3-3. Ну, до 2 побед из бо-3. И осталось максимум 2 матча или 1. Если победит дестройер, будет 1 бой. Если победит сейчас самонер, будет 2.
Predu gonna use the vortex. No reflex roll for X-Shade. He's gonna use a shield stun and catches both.
Вот опять. Никакого поклона от кота, никакого там одувана под табом.
The cat into defensive position, but X-Shade not paying attention and gets launched into the air. Comes back in, does Predu with the jump into the grab, and the cat coming back into play. He's gonna put X-Shade into the air. Doesn't get the follow up and
Расслабление севки, поймал крит. Ну все, тут на изи. Честно говоря, кот какой-то вообще туповатый очень сильно.
So long in this matchup, but at the end he just maybe the pressure got to him.
But I feel like
a comfortable win for Predu.
Yeah, but Predu does seem to be playing really well. He really has the timing down. He gets the stun on both of the cat and the summoner, and just is really able to put so much pressure on X-Shade that X-Shade just cannot reply to it.
Говорит, что сильно давит Destroyer.
I think Predu, both the destroyers we see today, they have such interesting approaches to the game. You know, Dungeon, for example, just he seems to have no regard for the neutral situation.
Не знаю, ребят, что-то после пиратки реально они там такие днища все вообще играют. Ну, в 1/4 прям вообще 1/4.
You know, that's not something that good destroyers would ever do because it can be so easily countered. But if you try it and your opponent doesn't have an answer, why should you stop? You know, give him a reason to stop doing that.
Yep.
And I guess we're just gonna have to see if Dungeon has a different strategy, you know, prepared. If in this situation his fire spin doesn't work, what will he do?
Alright, so that puts Predu into the semifinals.
Кому-нибудь, ребят, ключи нужны на Евро?
Our next matchup will be Empathy versus Shiro.
На Евро ключи нужны, плюсик поставьте в чат, кому нужны.
Yeah, I went ahead and invited.
Рейтинг 400, не более. Да, конечно. Такого 400 вообще там они с дна вообще с такой игрой не должны вылазить.
Oh, well, that's awkward. Can you actually invite Empathy?
А можешь мне написать на Твиче в приват?
Is that possible?
В приват отвечу.
And I will invite Shiro.
I have Shiro in my party. I'm going to tell Shiro to leave.
Alright.
Is his in-game name just Empathy?
Yes it is. Okay. Was it Shiro-chan?
Yeah, Shiro-chan.
Oh, I mistyped that. So that I believe is... Alright, he got it this time. Alright, so yeah, Shiro, Kung Fu Master, and Empathy was a Blade Master, I believe?
Blade Dancer, yeah.
Blade Dancer. Alright, it was a Blade Dancer. Alright.
Alright, so our party is ready.
Alright, then I am going to invite you.
Such interesting class diversity in the quarterfinals. Blade Masters, Kung Fu Masters, Summoners, Destroyers, Blade Dancers.
The only thing missing right now, or one of the things missing right now, is an Assassin. And I would really like to see some more Assassin gameplay. We already missed it in the first tournament.
Да, давай напиши ник свой.
The only Assassin that showed up so far was in the last North American
tournament да.
On the North American servers.
Я тебе там в приват откину сейчас.
But still, it's good to see the Assassin being represented because I feel like they are quite strong in this patch. Just maybe it's difficult to have them in tournament play for whatever reason. But yeah, that is one of the classes that I'm excited to see. And then, of course, the Force Master, Bev, unfortunately, didn't quite make it in time for the tournament. So we didn't get to really see him represented. But here we are. Shiro.
Да, сейчас отошлите. Так, посмотрим, у нас Форс и КФМ. О, Форс, КФМ и ЛСМ. Прокинул. Подкинул на это, на комбо. Классическая комба с этим, с молниеноской. Сейчас будет выходить из... Да, антистан заюзал, у ЛСМа нет антистана. Опять камбу, сейчас будет захватом таскать. Вот, неправильно, ЛСМ должен был максимально таскать в захвате, чтобы тянуть свой КД на молниеноску. Все, теперь получает от КФМа. Естественно, нету антистана. Сейчас, если КФМ грамотный, станлок поймает и будет держать. Не держит. Все, сейчас теперь очередь ЛСМ. Сейчас, по-моему, молниеноска еще нет, не откатилась. А, нет, все. Ну, классика.
It was really just chipping damage. It was mostly a game played in a neutral stance. And I think that the big thing that happened for Shiro at that point was the committing the pressure point and the tremor before the tab was down. I think that's what really made it difficult for him.
Yep. Alright, so good match. I am going to invite you again.
Empathy.
Все, держи, уведомление, ты че пришло, должно быть прийти.
We didn't see animation canceling at all. He just stunned, lifted into the air, used penta slash, finisher. He used lightning draw very well. And that earned him the win. Empathy.
Чувак анализирует стратегию ЛСМа, тонкую. Подбросить, дать пента слэш и дать молниеноску при падении.
I feel like the early tremor hurt him a lot in this matchup. Let's see if he makes the adjustment. Here comes the blade dancer opening
Опять
very early,
лагает.
gets a charge stun.
Вот опять ЛСМ с... Не знаю, как скилл называется. Со стана заезжает. Аэркомбат. О, доджил, кажется... Молниенос.
Uses the ice block to block any reversal option front, and I like this adjustment.
Да, сам завязал щиты. Не докомбил кафе. Блин, такой лайк. Вот, заюзал антистан ЛСМ. Подождал сейчас. Думает, что сейчас даст 2 эркомбы. Выслал цыщ. Вот, и опять сейчас даст молниеноску, но не добьет. Нет, нет, еще не откатилось. Со стяжки. Дал. Все, тяжелая ситуация у КФМа. Все, щит. Щит боится. КФМ доджит. Пока ждет, пока щит подойдет. Проюзал. Все, антистан. Не знаю, не помню, у КФМ остался антистан. Все. Поймал без рывка на стан ЛСМ и, собственно говоря, закончил.
Yeah, but he just cannot get the combos. Sorry, empathy. Always having the escape, and then yeah, Shiro just not getting another stun onto empathy. Very well played. Shiro just unable to get a good combo, and then some good damage onto Shiro. Onto
by the way,
sorry.
Shiro is a she. Just for reference.
Широ из Иши. Он говорит, это тип тёлка играет.
So she's been doing very well so far, but I think the thing that really stopped her from winning that match was getting hit by the tab at the end. He had the knockdown, and he caught the reflex roll with the blazing fist, or rather she caught the reflex roll with the blazing fist, but then when she went back in, she got hit by the tab, and that caused her to have to reflex roll back, and that space created is really important because it makes it difficult for you to use your strafe dodging. And I think if he had maybe backdashed a tab or stayed away and just avoided getting hit by the daze, she would have had a lot more defensive options into the next few moments of the match.
Мало куешится.
So Shiro on the back foot, empathy, looking very strong. Already got one
По мне так.
game for himself. So see.
Это 5. Ну, я думаю, так начало бы стандартно заезжал с рывка на стан. И аркомбой. Ну, успел проюзать. Куешится вокруг, все стан поймал. Сейчас, мне кажется, как упадет ЛСМ, будет юзать антистан. Нет. Ой, комбит. Непонятно зачем. А, ждал, видимо, антистана на блок. Все равно он проюзал антистан, и все, это... Все, поймал. Красава, красава, молодец. Вот теперь по-умному развилось. Заснулся и с ноги заехал, опрокинул и дальше станлок пошел.
Yeah, a little bit greedy from Empathy trying to go for the blade draw when he did, and Shiro being able to capitalize on it, getting a stun, beautiful dodge.
КГ там он смотрит, стримец тоже пишет чатик.
Get another stun on there and finishing off with a good amount of damage.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful round from the Kung Fu Master. I'm sure Rat Eyes will be pleased with that. It was very calculated, very smart use of the strafe dodging, and in general, really good job avoiding the damage that Empathy was trying to put out. But definitely right now, from what I'm seeing in this match, it really looks like it's on the Kung Fu Master to really try to avoid a lot of the CC. You know, he has to avoid the charge, pentaslashes, grabs, so many things. And if the Kung Fu Master just drops the ball just a little bit, you end up getting punished pretty hard for that, as we saw. I mean, Empathy so far has really not got any blade draw combos. He hasn't really got the big animation canceling damage. He's just gone for air combos, and that's been winning him matches. Finally, Shiro gets one on the scoreboard. Opener is not similar in the last few games.
Ловит, заехавший с рывка, заехавший на стан. А, вот вообще даже не рывок. Классика на пол хп. О, в отскок попал. Сейчас будет восстанавливать ЦИ. Непонятно, почему сразу бросает. Не таскает, не ждет КД до того. О, опять в отскок поймал, заюзал в антистан. Сейчас будет пытаться... Да, вот ЛСМ проюзал антистан опять тоже. Ни у кого нету. Но у ЛСМа инициация получше, чем у КФМа, поэтому КФМу сейчас надо напирать какими-то скиллами. Вот ЛСМ пошел в наступление, заюзав щит. Ну и все, и поймал.
And that was pretty much the expected outcome, I think. Empathy just had so much pressure from the neutral game. No tab available just meant that Empathy just had to land one stun to close out the match.
Yeah. No tab ready on Shiro, sadly, and then blade draw still ready on Empathy and just absolutely destroying her at the very end there. Shiro just... She managed to dodge the tab, but then wasn't quite able to continue her combo. Empathy being able to get out of the stun combo there. For some reason, Shiro did leave my group. I believe it wasn't quite over yet.
Yeah.
Give me just a second.
Yeah, if Empathy wins one more, then Empathy will move on to the semis. But if Shiro wins one more, then it'll be 1-1 in terms of games. One of the things that I think was really big...
Ah, she crashed. Alright.
One of the things that I think was really hurt Shiro in that game was when she got that last knockdown and she tried to go for the tremor, it was too late. Now, one of the things that you have to know about tremor is that it actually goes through blocks, right? And so when you have somebody in a knockdown, they have a few options, either the slow get up or the counter. And in that situation, Empathy actually used the slow get up. And so if Shiro had just gotten the knockdown and then committed the tremor right then, she would have gotten the stun and would have been able to animation cancel and probably win the match off of it. So the fact that the stun came just a little bit too late, because the slow get up, what you have to know is you're actually vulnerable for the first few seconds, or rather when you use it. If you get hit, you get re-knocked, whatnot.
Ну, тактика ЛСМ всегда была для меня лично неинтересной.
She would have gotten the max duration stun on the tremor, animation cancel, and close the game out. But she gets to a certain duration, you're actually immune to CC for 1 second. So even if the tremor did land cleanly and the Blade Dancer wasn't spinning at that point in time, the tremor would not have worked. and then the Blade Dancer was spinning on top of that, and that gave him extra CC protection. So the thing is, when you get that knockdown, you have a choice to think about normally, right? Is the player going to counter? If the player's going to counter, you need to wait. You need to wait for the counter to drop, and then you need to come in with your CC right when that happens. But for Tremor, because it goes through the block, you actually don't need to wait. You can actually just knock down and go immediately into the Tremor. Now, the only time you have to be careful about this is if the character has a long duration block. Because if the character gets knocked down and uses a counter, and you stun on top of it, the counter will still persist, but the player will be stunned, right? So you do still need to wait for that counter to run out, but you will have them locked down in a stun. And so perhaps a smarter choice for Shiro at that point in time was just to immediately use a Tremor at that point. And that probably could have earned her the win, but unfortunately not quite how it played out. And it's easy to talk about these situations, but it's very hard to grasp in the match, and that could make the difference. You know, this familiarity with the game situation could mean the difference between Shiro-chan getting eliminated here and having the opportunity to move on to the semis. She's demonstrated some good gameplay. Her defensive play is on point. I mean, we talked about the good use of the strafe dodges to avoid the tabs, and we saw that beautiful use of the backdash against the grab, and also backdashing other situations with like the right button stun and blade draw for empathy, the bolt step I believe it's called. But in the end, if you play well defensively, you still need a way to put damage on your opponent, and I think that's been what's missing from Shiro right now. Goes for the sweep, doesn't get it. Charge stun from Empathy is going to earn the air combo, and every single game we've seen Empathy getting the opener. This perhaps is something that Shiro can work on also. Freeze counter to the grab. Shiro going to use the strafe. Tries to triple kick, but that's not going to work, and a good use of Blade Barrier on the knockdown after the backdash. Empathy building himself some space, chases down the reflex roll with the charge stun. Here comes the animation canceling. Tab being spent, chases down the reflex roll with the blazing palm into the air combo. Tab still available for the Blade Dancer. Rising Dragon being committed, using the strafe dodge in case the tab was being spent. Knockdown again by Empathy. Gonna use the slow get up, and Shiro doesn't get the sweep. Gets grabbed up, and this could be a lot of damage. Pentaslash into another air combo. Empathy looking to make up that health differential, and he does well doing so. 40% slow get up by the Kung Fu Master. Martial Dance doesn't have a chase. Tremor is still available, but so is Tab. And a good backdash into the knockdown. Can see, I mean, his Kung Fu Master.
Все, сорян, что-то лаганул интернет. Тут жена еще отвлекла не вовремя.
When you look at Red Eyes, it may not. Red Eyes, please join my match, please. Just notice me, senpai. When we watch Red Eyes play, you know, it's not something that may be immediately obvious, but the little things, the execution, these little things here and there about, you know, when to wait, what to do on the knockdown game, if you let your opponent get up for free, your cooldown spacing, you know, when you choose to commit your cooldowns and how you line them up.
Yeah.
It's these little differences that push you farther in these tournaments.
And Red Eyes...
And I think...
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. And I think a player like Shiro performed really well, but I feel like difference when you watch Red Eyes in terms of his execution, and we can see that reflected in the tournament placings right now. Red Eyes moving on to the semis, and Shiro, despite playing very well, ends up falling to the
ЛСМ, да, неинтересная, вот по мне так тактика. Просто R-комба. По возможности сделать. Сейчас нормально должно быть.
Alright, let's see what will happen in this match. Pool is immediately going to open the match, and Rada is going to backdash. Doesn't get chased down on his reflex roll, and now he's going to look to be mounting his own amount of pressure. He's procs his ice block.
Так, опять я... Дестройер, который первый...
He's trying to get a triple kick right now, but he gets the backdash knockdown. And there's a good use of Tremor, and that's exactly what I was talking about in that last situation we had with Shiro.
КФМ поймал. О, стан заюзал.
It becomes a very good option. He's going to tab out. Destroyer is gonna use his blue rage already.
Ну, честно говоря, Destroyer в таком сейчас упадке немножко. Им нечем выходить, он все заюзал. Держит в станлоке.
He's just playing knockdown games and hits into the counter, gets a slow get up and gets away for free. Red Eyes is probably looking to make some space.
Заюзал баф.
Very dangerous situation. Gets another counter. Doesn't use the Iron Mountain.
Но, однако, ничего с бафом не получилось у него сыграть.
Backing away into neutral game. Pool. Chases, tries to chase down the tech.
Опять антистанлок. Антистан заюзал. Дестер. Все, опять держит станлок и теперь, походу, закончит комбо. Все, просто надо заникенствовать. Ну, собственно говоря, такая читаемая битва.
Use a tremor. You will get re-knocked down and get put into stun. You use a tremor because it goes
вот две телочки
through the block. Uday is gonna get himself the stun, the animation cancel, and could have finished it on that animation. It out with the blazing palm. And Red Eyes puts himself on the scoreboard 1-0.
Yeah, and really just displaying again why he is regarded as such a great Kung Fu master. He just really knows when to do those stunts. You saw that again. He always got the punish on the reflex roll. And Destroyer had to spend both of his tab and his other defense really early, and then Red Eye's just not letting go and constantly getting the stunts in and being able to then animation cancel, do a lot of damage during that time. Even though he did let Donjon get away in between just a little bit, because all of his cooldowns were gone pretty much. He still was able to do so much damage just during in the opening that, yeah, Donjon just wasn't able to recover from that.
Yeah, and really, I feel like Donjon dropped a lot of opportunities. There were reflex rolls that Red Eyes utilized, and he just got away for free. I mean, I think in two big situations in the opener, Red Eyes reflex rolled and the follow-up wasn't there for the Destroyer. And in another time, late into the game, there's a situation where he reflex rolled and backdashed and was actually able to get out of that situation. Early backdash from the Kung Fu Master. Gonna avoid the pull with the ice block in the end, though. Let's see how they open up the matches. Invul being spent by the Destroyer, gets backdash knocked down. Red Eyes, Iron Mountain into by the sweep.
Поймал на контратаку. Подсечкой ослабил, пытался закомбить. Destroyer подсечку тоже просрал. Ничего интересного с ним не выдал. На СС-ке драконий удар там с ноги нормально прокинул. Пытается закомбить. Непонятно, почему Дестер держится в углу. Заюзал антистан, чтобы залочить КФМ. А, вот все. Дестер нет антистан, кто был не антистан, не знаю, чем он застанет. А, видать, двойкой застанет. Вот опять непонятно, зачем он заюзал этот тап. КФМ был не рядом. Ну, судя по всему, по бою Дестер обороняется, чем атакует. А КФМ все-таки...
He has a lot of options for offense right now. He could make it work. Tries to go for the blazing palm, but it's a little too early and he gets countered on it. He's going to get out of the knockdown situation with his own counter, but doesn't get the CC on the Destroyer. Trying to kick, triple kick, martial dance into the knockup. But again, there's the tremor and the pressure point. Animation canceling, and this could be the end. Goes for the big combo, but doesn't quite get it.
Зря отошел. Вот застанил, зря отошел Destroyer, и за это поплатился. Была последняя возможность. Мог бы покомбить, отхилиться. Хотя чем отхилиться, если тычок только у него, хотя там скорее всего тычок на двойной удар. Он читает движение от КФМ Destroyer, поэтому ему легче.
The amount that he is outplaying Dungeon right now is insane. Just over and over and over. Hey, you're gonna counter on the floor? I'm gonna use my own counter, and then I'm gonna Iron Mountain you. And just repeatedly putting him into daze, and Rat Eyes was just never scared. Never scared.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, if you've played the Mortal Kombats, you would know that there's a fatality. I think it's from Liu Kang or whatever. He like has space in between him and his opponent. He does a forward roll and he does the uppercut, and he actually knocks his opponent's head off in classic Mortal Kombat fashion.
Ну, он сравнивает этот, как я не знаю, как он называется у КФМа, драконий удар, не драконий удар, когда он ССается, потом с ноги залетает и опрокидывает. Вот этот удар надо ловить на СС, потому что после СС КФМ всегда этот удар делает. И что касается дестройера, остальные вроде удары не за, ну, не блок там щитом, не какие-то другие удары, там ни плечо, ничего не законтрит. Поэтому это надо СС против КФМ оставлять именно на его СС. То есть СС там получается и немножко доджит, пока у него там КД отойдет. И он сравнивал, короче, с Люкенгом там в Mortal Kombat. Похожий удар. Ну вот опять опрокинул. Выслабление и веркомбо. Продолжает комбить. Опять ослабил. Еще раз ослабил. Дестройер странно как-то вышел. Антистан что ли заюзал. Должен был опрокинуть. Поймал на блок стан. Застанился щита. Кэш. Вот опять СС и этот дракон и продолжает комбить на ослабление. Дестройер бафнулся, надо сейчас немножко отойти бы, да, и поддержать. Все, контроль. Пятиударочку. Сподки. И вот опять от нога. Ну, мне кажется, изи вообще для дестройера, для КФМ вообще прям. Просто кроме таба, походу, ничего не жмет. Китаец что-то прихерял от комбы КФМ.
Very impressive. And Dungeon was really not ready for that.
Dungeon getting absolutely hammered. The pressure point. Oh my god. Oh my god, I can't. It's difficult to hide my fanboyism. I've been very biased towards Red Eyes so far, I feel like, but it's so difficult. I mean, when you see, like in these last two, how can you not?
СТС наш, ёлки.
You watch players like Red Eyes, Daka, Bev. When you watch players like this, they just have so many like.
К ребятам в тест посмотрю, что творится, зайти.
Like those highlight reels.
Пока фрезанет маленько.
Simply amazing.
Yep. Jeez, man. And that actually puts Red Eyes on match point. He's just one game away of going into the finals.
Red Eyes is taunting me with his outfits again. Oh, oh my goodness. He's doing very well for himself.
Здорово, пацаны.
Very, very well. Marshall. Rising Dragon against the wall is the destroyer. He's going to get the air combo. We saw this last time against the wall. When he used the Iron Mountain, the destroyer actually hit the wall and was able to counterattack. So maybe he wants to back away from it. He's going to just fuse that grab with his ice block.
Ага, вот тут перетёрный, да?
Knockdown again, and this has been working out so well for Red Eyes so far. Counter being spent by the destroyer. He gets the Iron Mountain again. You can't do it. Just stop. You can't do it, Dungeon. You cannot do
А он молчит. Или просто игнорит. Или сказал нахуй надо.
Dungeon is going to mount his comeback right now, getting some good animation. Tab finally spent
Ну
by the
ладно.
Kung Fu Master. Into the air is
Ну кинь
Dungeon.
меня туда в какой-нибудь румор, что ли.
Reflex roll gets chased down by the blazing fish. Sure, you get into the
Не
air
знаю,
again.
как он называется.
Dungeon still has
Ну,
defensive cooldowns available, I believe. He still has blue rage, and tab should be coming up soon. A good pull is going to force a daze onto the Kung Fu Master. Doesn't reflex roll out and gets knocked down into the grab. He does not have his ice block to get out of this situation now, and a jump. And this could be really bad for Red Eyes. This could be the end of the match. He gets away, uses a strafe. And the fire spin is coming. Dungeon is looking to end it in the classic fashion. But again, a martial dance into the air combo is going to pull the opener in favor of Radice at this point. Blue buff spam at the same time as Tremor, and Radice needs to get away. He's in a very bad spot. Backdashes. Sure, you get into the air combo through the... Oh my god. Oh my god.
And Red is just not getting faced. It doesn't matter if he's on 1% or 100. He will still play as good as ever, and he will not surrender.
I did not think I could be any more of a fan of Red Eyes, but the backdash, and every time he's been using the backdash into the knockup.
У меня так не получится, там накуренный был хлам.
He saves it for the last part of the match. Comes in for the
Не, нету. На только пиво сегодня.
Ignores the CC immunity that the spin has, puts Dungeon into the air, and closes out the match.
Не, там не получится. Я пробовал, не получается.
I'm so excited. That match was too hype for me.
Конечно.
At what point do you say against Red Eyes you don't do the knockdown parry anymore? Because Red Eyes just always...
Как секс в презервативе, так же.
Exactly, he always reacts exactly how he
Доставляет кучу радости и удовольствия.
Into yet another days. And at what point do you say, okay, I am not going to counter again?
Yeah,
because
it's just never worked out for him.
Exactly, he's just going to continue his combo off of that. I would just stop doing that.
Just stop, just let it happen, man.
Just kill me. Just kill me. Alright, so
oh my god.
With that, Red Eyes moves into the finals. Congrats, and we will see Dungeon in the third place match later on.
Yes, the third, fourth.
As well, honestly, he seems to be he really knows what he's doing.
He's a very aggressive set player. Okay, and my party is readied up.
All right. Yep.
As we've seen from Predu, he seems very keen of just always pushing for damage, looking for openings, and he spends it all up very quickly, very early on in the round. And so I expect to see some situation. He has about 5 seconds left for his blade barrier, and when that comes up, he reflex roll from Empathy, not punished by Predu, and he's gonna get the blade barrier up. That's gonna give him a little bit of health regeneration and chi. But the fire spin, the classic fire spin. This was Dungeon special, but Predu is employing it against Empathy. He does stop the spin, gets pulled in by the axe throw, backdash away. No reflex roll from Empathy is gonna earn him a get out of jail free card, and Predu is gonna spend his tab again. He needs to find a way back in, but Empathy's tab is also available. Pentaslash into the air combo, and this might look really bad for the Destroyer at this point. Chases down the reflex roll, and there's the animation cancel. Blue buff being popped into the air combo. Empathy, what's going to happen here? The Destroyer tries to go in for the jump, but the Blade Barrier is going to stop that CC from going through. Vortex in, and Empathy's going to get another air combo, and that's going to close it out. And what a close match.
Yeah, you saw Predu there at the end when he popped his adamant, just panicking a little bit, using his Blade Barrier, even though it was already up for quite a while. Just absolutely wasting it and point.
Yeah, and that could have made the difference. That could have been it. I mean, the Blade Barrier and then the charge stun into the air combo is what closed it out.
Вроде восстановил.
Tried to set up a time where you could either backdash or spin to avoid the stun. That could have been the play. In the end, he gets caught by the vortex, reflex rolls, and gets chased down.
And again, Predu, he did proc his adamant very late. At the very end of the match, that was the first time he proc. Maybe considering procking it a little bit earlier, but then he runs the risk of not having any escape into put draw.
Ща вроде восстановил. Сори, там отвлекся, позвали, думал там КГ-1 сидит, а там что-то их много всех. Сидят особо ничего не покомментировать, не пообсуждать, как на своей волне. Ну ладно.
Slowly, keeps chipping away with the air combos. And he's okay with winning in that fashion too.
Опять с дэша подлетел, подкинул комбу сразу и раздает. А у Дестра выход из захвата прокачал и заюзал после аэр-комбы. Вот опять аэр-комба и молниеноска. О, Дестер поймал на щит. О, вышел сам из стана антистаном своим и пытается теперь закомбить. У него Дестра ничего нету. Сейчас будет по полной получать. О, поймал. На контр поймал. Странно вообще. Не должен был. За спину был заходить. Как скачать клиент на евро? Там есть кнопка, заходишь, регистрируешь. Опять пытается подсечкой. Ну вот, это все, труп. ЛСМ просто захват. Просто хочу захватываю. Ну ладно, это лирика. Заходишь в свой аккаунт на евро. Заходишь в свой именно аккаунт, там есть ввести промокод, вводишь промокод. Там дальше будет ссылка скачать клиент, скачаешь.
But he felt very confident, I guess. He probably had a lot of his defensive cooldowns still ready, so, you know, very confident with that knockdown in the air.
Oh my goodness. Maybe he tried to go for holds that title.
So one thing I noticed is in the opening, Predu is able to get the X throw into
Ну,
the
всем
base.
предсказуем,
However, he's
конечно.
quiet, doesn't do any damage.
Вот стандартный такой схема, он вообще никакой, не там какой-то у него не редкий билд, там стандартный аэр-комба, молниеноска, если есть вторую аэр-комбу, подождать немножко, пододжить, покайтить, там цы подрегенить. Плюс захват. Захвата под цы, это вообще прям милое дело. Но Дестер не ждет того, да, бизнул. Притянул и опять-таки притянул тут же на отскок таб поймал сам себя. Логичная комба сразу после стана. Теперь вот это умный ЛСМ, который ждет захват, не сразу бросает. И опять-таки хоп, вторая легкая комба. Все, теперь он будет ждать, кайтить. Может немножко тут понапирает. Но по сути ЛСМ кайтят до второй молниеноски. И проделают также комбо с двух. Вот опять, о, в башку прям. Контр поймал. Короче, контр походу на 360 градусов. Все, притянул, схватил захват. Сейчас будет пытаться закомбить, но у ЛСМ, по-моему, есть стан. Не пойму, почему здесь станлок не делают на евро после захвата. Ни стана, ничего не дают, просто через жопу делают, через четверку. Ну и все. Не знаю, почему здесь не дерутся через станлок Дестра после захвата. Почему-то все юзают четверку и после него там. Может что-то, конечно, какие-то там КД рефреш или еще что-то, не знаю. К сожалению, ребята, которые помогли бы мне с этими вопросами, не явились к своим делам. Так что пока так.
And then attacking even into the spin, getting a stun there, getting a counter stun. So yeah, this time it's empathy with the mind games, just outplaying Predu there. Definitely outplaying him there in the opening.
And it's been interesting so far to think about, because I feel like that was one of the things.
Фигово, что у них нету нигде ни сетки, ничего. Хотя... Может, где-то нас подстримом.
He was always using blazing fists, martial dance, knockdowns, whatever he could, you know, chase down the reflex rolls. He's not giving his opponent any opportunity.
Ну не, на стриме подписи ничего нет.
But Dungeon, and now what it seems like Predu, seems to be a little lacking in that field.
Опять дубль 2, предсказуем последний раунд, скорее всего. Потому что Дестер прям в сухую насасывает.
Predu's in and we're gonna wait for them to out of combat. He's just repairing his weapon.
Might as well, you know, for the extra damage, right? Gotta
that was also a classic Bev move. If you guys had seen from my perspective, every time Bev is waiting for a match to start, you just...
Фанаты Био ждут, когда биф начнет.
I've even seen,
я не помню, Колорайст играет за какого-то левого персонажа.
The repair and then finishing off the air combo. With the maximum BM there. Alright, both players out of fight, and we can continue.
Alright. Predu versus Empathy. Blade Bear being utilized, but it doesn't get the opener on the right. Predu, I think, is what avoided that. Maybe it was the range.
Ну, опять захват, сейчас будет комбить с молниеноской. Потом, скорее всего, опять захват подождет. Все, антистан заюзал, и опять комба. Сейчас возьмет захват, подождет. Не, не взял. Ждет. Вот все. Сейчас ци пососет. Да. Все по стандарту. Сейчас эйркомба. Немножко подождет, сейчас скатится где-то секунд через 4 еще. О-о-о-о. Что-то мы пропустили, прям под яростью напихал походу тычков. Но это ненадолго. Все. До свидос. Все, молниеноска. Пиу. Ну, все логично. Я тоже горю на арене, на пиратке. Волосамов. Ну странно, Дестер без пинка, без подсечки. Хз. Не ловит. Не ловит. Видно, что Дестер обороняется. Я бы взял все-таки антистан на выход из захвата. Ну, я беру против ЛСМ, конечно. Сейчас на пиратке засилие ЛСМов на арене и БМов. Недавно дуэлился. Приходилось с ним драться много.
Yep. So with the empathy versus Red Ace, but before that we're gonna before that we're gonna play the third place matchup, which is going to be Destroyer versus Destroyer matchup.
Get ready for the Beyblades.
Alright, give me a second. Alright, so you can invite Donjon, since I already have Predu in my party. Just checking with him if Predu wants to get the time to leave the group and respec, or if it's enough. Alright, it's enough there. Alright. So just let me know when you guys are ready, and I will invite you.
Should I invite Donjon?
He might be on the different server. Let me... Yeah, there he is. Try to invite him from chat. He is in chat now.
There we go.
Alright.
Unable to send sparring invitation. Not all team members are ready.
So far, some very exciting games. Maybe part of that is because of the destroyers in the tournament. They have the explosive damage.
Yes. All they need is that
watch.
one stun without escape. If they go for the free build, and suddenly all the HP is gone from their opponent. But getting that, you know, getting to that point with the stun and the enemy not having any escape. That is the hard part. And, you know, not losing the match before that. And yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to go into the third, fourth place match against...
Yeah, Predu versus Donjon.
The great fire spinner, Donjon.
But this time around, Predu, he has a fight, starts to go crazy. Maybe Predu just counters it, you know? Just going for the double spin there. And then both they'll whittle themselves down, or each other down. And we'll see who wins that.
Теперь БМ и... о,
I feel like we're
Дестер.
watching some kind of circus. Like we have Predu the reckless beast, and then we have Donjon the fire spinner. Some like circus, kind of like Jesus. All right, Donjon versus Predu. Donjon gets jumped on. But both players are just kind of avoiding each other, and finally Predu gets the follow up to his flaming wheel and sends Donjon into the air. Another jump from Predu is gonna get the daze, but no chase on the reflex.
Турнира сетки нет, непонятно.
Likewise,
А еще попробую спросить.
not chasing down the reflex rolls, but Predu's gonna get the grabs. He's gonna get the better part of that situation. Choke into the air combo again. Donjon at about 55%. Looking very similar. Ooh, but he gets countered, and that's gonna be big. But Predu, he's trying to make his way back. Spends his tab, jumps again, and gets the daze. This is right now. Red rage being spent on Donjon, and he's getting a lot of damage. Oh, Donjon. Oh, Donjon is using blue this time around. Then he pops blue. He's trying to do some damage to Predu and gets the knockup, but Donjon is so low. Reflex roll not being chased down again. Invul being spent by Donjon, but no proc. And now they're just gonna back away, staring at each other. Donjon could this
За третье место, да, бой?
to go for the blue buff.
Ну, ладно.
Сейчас
попробую выпросить сетку где-нибудь, посмотреть еще. Что-то они не горят еще. Может, я прослушал, пока это до холодильника ходил. Ну, тут понятно. Сейчас красный все разрядил. О, Эргенец. Подсечка. Вот, сейчас, кстати, нет, красный сейчас более-менее доминирует. Дует комбо. Нет, выходит из комбы яростью. Возможно, что-нибудь сейчас все убил. С этим мегатабом этим, не знаю, как назвать. О-о-о. Кинь линк мне в приват от сообщения, пожалуйста. Найтбот не дает ссылки постить, отключать, просто далеко лезть.
Well, also partially because Donjon, he used his adamant not even to escape any kind of CC. He was actually not even close to Predu when he used it. And I think
переключиться на другого стримера, я просто не знаю его Twitch. Я так понял, они просто один стримит, а второй просто по скайпу с ним сидит.
But, you know, I feel you could oftentimes do a little bit more with the adamant.
And just the explosive damage you get for the red buff. I mean,
все игры, можно сказать, кроме БНС. Ты активировал ключ в профиле у себя?
Well, typically you're gonna want to chase that with some kind of CC, but I'm just gonna chase that with animation canceling. I'm just gonna run behind you, swing my axe crazy. And he does enough damage to end the game. Animation canceling into the fire spin.
And I feel both of them missed a lot of their chases on the reflex roll. A lot of them, especially Predu, right at the start, he missed his charge after the roll. And that is a very long cooldown to lose onto such a mistiming that really shouldn't happen.
You know, maybe that's Predu's response to the last match he played against Empathy, where he actually animation cancel into the days. Animation cancel no matter what.
Да, только матч начинается и лагает.
Donjon getting the opener, charge stun into a little bit of animation canceling, but he gets counterattacked, and Predu is looking to put on pressure.
Проюзал антистан красный Дестер.
It procced on Donjon, and he does get the non-stun. This could be a chance for big damage, but I don't think he had enough chi.
Взял на ручку, сейчас будет попробовать закомбить. Вот, ушел. Дестер опять ярс. И теперь обмениваются табами.
Oh my god.
Кончился статап и ЕСС сразу оба.
Truly a moment for Beyblade's fans to rejoice. Dungeon putting Predu up
Походу,
into the
Преда
grab,
будет болеть.
earthquake. Tab being spent by Predu. The pull is
Ловит
gonna
на
reel him in.
бросок.
Reflex roll not
Поймал
being
стан,
punished, but
антистан
Tab by
заюзал.
Dungeon, he's gonna
Все, и
put it
тычок
in
дал,
the
потому
daze.
что
The axe crit is gonna close
последний шанс такой заюзал этот красный дестр.
it. Perhaps the blue buff is the bad to decide who loses this match. Because that time Predu utilized it. He tried to get damage off of it, but ended up losing.
Yeah, he did utilize it pretty well. He did manage to break the CC and get a lot of counter damage onto Donjon at that point. But it wasn't quite enough. Donjon just getting more CC. He got multiple grabs, whereas Predu just didn't. And Donjon being able to finish it off with that.
Yeah.
And we also saw the double red spin that we were waiting for quite a while.
And they held it for so long. It's like a game of chicken.
Yeah.
Like one destroyer starts spinning, the second destroyer starts spinning. Just leave it to the RNG Chris to decide who's gonna win this trade, and they're just gonna keep spinning at each other until like the last moment.
Yep.
And whoever breaks off the spin first, he's the he may not be the loser of the match, but he's a loser in the match of pride.
For
Oh
sure,
my
yeah.
God, what are we watching, man?
And also in between the matches, Dungeon seems to be using his immunity, the C skill, a lot better. Dodging stuff with it and then getting the knock up afterwards. That's very important. A lot of damage from that.
It's really been working out for him. We saw how much of a difference it made for him in that last match. Let's see if Dungeon can repeat that performance here. 1-1 are these two players. And there we see Dungeon getting the proc into the air combo. Predu, but gets interrupted. That's going to earn Dungeon the grab into the knee. Chases down with the shield. I wonder why he backed away. Maybe expecting the tab, but this time it's going to come out. And Predu chases down. And now it's time for Dungeon to make the plays. Perhaps Predu is holding the red buff, and that's why he didn't pop it at that point in time. Blue buff for Dungeon, and he's going to get an animation cancel out of it. Oh my god, and he gets the air combo. Here's the finisher. Predu is nearly dead. Fire spin, and Dungeon might actually win it off this fire spin. He tries to go for the charge stun, but doesn't quite get it. Pool being immune by the flame wheel, and like we said, Dungeon has been so on point with that. But Predu finds some way back into this game. He's taking a lot of chipping damage. Oh my god, he got the air combo, and I thought that might have been his time. But Dungeon just put a stop to all of that nonsense.
Yeah, Predu definitely not able to answer the red spin there. He was way too low, so trading there would have definitely resulted in his loss. And once again, I feel like Donjon being a little bit better with using his immunity into the follow-up knock-up, gaining a lot of momentum from that, a lot of damage. And
смотри, заходишь в свой аккаунт, Айрон, заходишь в свой аккаунт, там есть верификацию на код пришлют на почту, там есть apply код в настройках аккаунта settings. Туда вводишь ключ.
Dungeon is that small tiny little speck of snow at the top of the mountain, and then it's just started to roll down the mountain, and as it goes it just gets a little bit bigger, and the momentum keeps building. It keeps getting bigger, and now, I mean, he's starting to look a little
Дальше вкладка появляется Blade and Soul, там в New появляется. Надо принять и apply нажать код. И тогда должна появиться ссылка на скачивание. Сейчас скажу.
Dungeon just looked commanding in that match. Let's see if Predu can bring it back. But the snowball may have gotten too big. Opening is Dungeon. A little bit of anime. Reflex rolled. Got punished a little bit by Predu, but in the end, Dungeon is going to come out on top. Knockdown. Gets countered. Another cross counter from Dungeon. Here's the shield stun. He tries to go for damage. Doesn't quite get a lot. Predu with the flame wheel. Doesn't proc. Dungeon being patient. Fire spin by Predu. He's trying to keep the flame alive. But he just gets pulled in. Reflex roll being chased down by the charge. And this could be a big opportunity for Dungeon. Gets a knee. Pulls him up into the grab. He's going to build back some chi with this. And what's the answer afterwards? Jumps and gets the tab out of Predu.
Так, отлично. Надо, значит,
Dungeon tries to go for the knockdown, but here comes some big damage from Predu. Dungeon doesn't care. Pops the blue buff and puts Predu into the air. And now he's just going to start spinning. Parry stun from Predu is going to put Dungeon in an awkward position, but still not in danger of losing. Dungeon has built himself such a large life lead, chases down the reflex roll, and this is the end. Shield stun into the finisher. And I don't know, man. I feel like the snowball is too big at this point.
Yeah.
It seems like there's nothing Predu can do.
And whoops, and so straight from the start, and then Donjon being able to capitalize on that. So Donjon just winning every single opening, and then just never letting go with the pressure, and Predu just always being behind. And right now he's actually still being on Fury, on the red pill. And
Yeah.
if he's behind, and if he's always stunned, then the Fury's not gonna do anything good for him. And he just can't get enough CC to get out the tab and maybe even the adamant from Donjon to, you know, pop his Fury and actually do damage with it. So it might be a good choice to go back to the blue pill, to the adamant.
Just to double check, the third, fourth place is best of 5. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Alright, currently the scoreline is 1-0 in favor of Dungeon.
Exactly,
And he's
at
one round up.
Yeah, or 1 round, yeah.
He's 1 round up. Dungeon has been building a lot of momentum. He's won 3 in a row so far. I have to wonder if Predu's going to change out of that red buff. He's been trying to get those stuns in, and what was really successful about it in the first round was that he got a lot of free damage off of it before Dungeon could even react. But in these last few games, he just hasn't had that opportunity arise. Earthquake, reflex roll being spent, Predu trying to do something, but very well. Reflex roll being chased down. I don't think the timing was quite right, but he got the stun anyway. Dungeon into the grab.
Вот такую ссылку мне прислали, это на клиент.
Spinning around, trying to cancel out any counterattack option. Puts Dungeon on the floor. The knockdown, reflex roll. From Predu 2. Same action.
Скачай, попробуй, я просто не знаю, ни разу не юзал коды, когда уже за БТ попёрло.
Grab off of it, building up chi. Drops Predu.
Я сейчас горя на это. За БТ кодов у меня там штук 10. Но это... Не хочу я на нем бегать, потому что осталось всего там 2 дня.
And the chase down was just a little bit too fast. That is blue buff being popped on Predu. Dungeon is going to be happy with that situation, I believe.
Так, и однако у нас тут красненький доминирует. Сейчас дойду, приду.
Looking quite comfortable. Just going to cut away and wait for cooldowns. Out of combat is Predu actually, so he has a chance to get a good opener here. Dungeon going to use his invul in perfect use. He has a knock-up, I believe. Jumps in, gets the daze. Predu doesn't answer with a reflex roll. Dungeon does, and he gets chased down for into the grab. Predu needs to find some way to do more damage than what he's been doing in the past. Goes for the big axe hit, but he didn't have red buff. It didn't do too much damage, and now it's Dungeon's chance. Go for the jump. Reflex roll is available. He opts not to do it. Here's a shield stun. More damage from Dungeon and Predu. At 25% health.
Поймал на скок, захват. Поймал сейчас. Вот, ловит на щит, это юзает антистрой. Антистан оба юзают, антистаны. Теперь будут обмениваться, пытаться поймать друг. Опять надо трудиться поймать кого-то. Вот, сейчас на F-ку. F-ку, к сожалению, не поймал на рывок плечом, на стан. Тяжело там ловить. В итоге у красного нету вот F-ка последняя, что была. Ну, там, откат небольшой, поэтому закайте. Сейчас, наверное, будет ждать откат щитов, чтобы похилять. Но сейчас кто поинициирует лучше? Все. Антистан юзнул синий. У красного все еще есть. По отбросам. Ну все. Да, стан щитом и тычок.
Predu being maybe a little bit nervous, he is missing too many of his chases. I believe he didn't even get a single chase off the reflex roll. And yeah, just that really costs him the game. It is just, yeah, you really need to get those. Especially if you use your charge stun. It is such a long cooldown, and losing that onto using it too early on a chase, that is really costly. And yeah, maybe it's nerves right now. Maybe it's, I don't know, something else. Gotta hit those chases.
Yeah. Dungeon is really making it apparent that he's very comfortable in this Destroyer v Destroyer matchup. And
Ну, а что
it was
за
a lot less
Dungeon
dominant
скилл?
for the last round.
Поди четверка, что ли?
I mean, it
На
really
подброс.
felt like Dungeon had a little bit more trouble than he did in the previous 3 wins. But still, the results speak for themselves. 4 wins in a row now for Dungeon. He's looking to win 2 more to take 3rd place in the 2nd Imperial EU tournament.
Yeah, so far, Donjon definitely he gets his chases and he gets the damage, the follow up from it. So yeah, right now definitely the upper hand, keeping his cool there.
А, тем не менее, мне скинули сетку сейчас.
And Predu has swapped away to the blue buff now, so he's given up on his aggressive.
Well, I wouldn't. Maybe he's swapping around again. He liked to swap around a lot so far, so we'll see.
Does enjoy the. We do see.
Да, матч за третье место идет.
Let's see what he can do. Dungeon looking for another opening here. Gets the earthquake, but invul.
Там будет самолет за Сэм. Начал за стан. Заюзал антистан.
Dungeon likewise. Grabs up Predu. He's gonna put the ground AoE down into the air combo.
Не понимаю я, почему синий заюзал антистан и его не комбит красный. Это же бред вообще. И станов нету, ну, точнее станов есть. Вот застанил, подбросил. Заюзал баф. Непонятно зачем. О, подскочил в щите, схватил зэп. Потому что хотел отключиться синий. Все комбит.
This is a bad situation for Predu. If Dungeon finds another opener, it could mean the end of the match. There's a tab.
Встал на восстановление просто. Напихал. Теперь у красного больше маны. Ярость. Все тут. К сожалению, лаганул, не видел, чем он на руки взял. Тут легко как. Ну, этот хоть с башкой играет, видимо, знает слабости дестройера и пытается как-то их законтрить.
Predu is forced to use the blue pill, the adamant, getting out of his stun, and then Donjon just proccing it a little bit later, dodging the skills and then getting an air combo almost every single time straight out of that, or getting yet another CC because he's still immune, whereas Predu is already vulnerable again.
Yeah. Been working out very well for Dungeon, and he just seems one step ahead right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Needs one more to close it out and earn 3rd place in the 2nd Imperial EU tournament, and the last one before the game actually comes out, because this is the last closed beta, I believe.
Yep, it is.
So after this week is done, we'll have a little bit of a break, and but then the next time we see you guys, we'll all be in the official release of the game. Hopefully we can continue doing these tournaments for you guys and show more entertaining matches.
Incredibly fun to watch. Watching all these players, and especially when I'm watching these EU matches with a lot of different classes, it's always very enjoyable to watch these Kung Fu Masters, Blade Dam Masters, like all of the classes really being represented here.
Yeah. Here we go. What could be the last match for Dungeon. He just needs to close out this win, and there's a good tech chase finally from Predu. Catches the reflex roll. Flame wheel being spent by Dungeon, but not procced, and Dungeon following suit. Chases down the reflex roll. He uses a tap. Daze gets followed up for Dungeon. He gets the grab off of it. Here's a pull. Is there going to be a reflex roll? Still no. Shield stun. This could be a lot of damage, and finally the blue buff gets popped into the air combo, but Predu doesn't get the follow-up. Procs the counter, but doesn't get the knockdown on it. There's a reflex roll being chased down with a kick. He uses the knee into the grab.
Да, прокидывает, короче, деструха.
Tab might be up in maybe in 10 seconds. I don't think it's available. He tries to go for the air launcher, but doesn't quite get it. And Predu put on the floor. And he actually uses a slow get up. He has a tab available. There's a Daze.
Навшки отошел, но все равно забиливает, пытается.
Off of the Daze.
Странно, по-моему, ни разу не видел, что кто-то на отскок поймался. Его задоджил бросок этого секиры. 162. Слушай, красный где-то. Красным табом допиливает. Ну все, сейчас, собственно говоря, там полтора чивка. Чивка-плевка.
Beautifully done by Dungeon, just looking so dominant. After his first loss, he just went to win 6 games straight and close out this best of 5, fourth place match, earning 3rd place. That's going to be our first high placing destroyer in the EU tournaments.
Yes, it is. Yeah, very impressive play from him. Definitely outclassing Predu in this 3rd place match. So next up, we do have finals. All right. And that is, let me check, it's gonna be, Red Ace versus Empathy. So we have a Kung Fu Master versus a Blade Dancer.
You guys want to talk a little bit about the giveaway?
Финал КФМ против ЛСМа.
Imperial Network.
What do we have for the giveaway?
So, you wanna, go ahead, Everest.
So for our giveaway,
Я забыл, что Самонер там еще плотно присосал.
we have 2 initiate packs, courtesy of. You have to be on the stream in order to win. We're gonna give you a keyword, and you type it into chat, and you have a chance to win one of the initiate packs. Rainy?
What's up?
Do you want to talk about Imperial Network?
Yes, I do. The Imperial Network is a community hub, basically. And what it is we gather content creators and people who have a skill set of some sort, either a strong player or somebody who contributes a lot in terms of guides or informational things, or I suppose even very entertaining things. And it's also a way to connect the North American region with the European region and help gain popularity for all these people working hard, making good content. So what we do is we basically share information and help advertise for each other. And if you want to join the network, you can make a post or find the post on the Blade and Soul Dojo forums and make a reply to it. And then the people in the network will take a look, take a look at it and see what they like and see what you might want to change, and then help you kind of just advertise your things. So that's what the Imperial Network is for, and to help build a solid foundation for the Blade and Soul content creation community, and also for the more skilled players in the community too. Try to get their name out there and hopefully motivate people to get better at the game, and also find more avenues through which players can enjoy the game.
Thanks for that.
Alright, thank you, Rainy. So now we will continue with the finals. I already have Red Ace in my party. Are you guys ready as well?
Yes, all our party members are ready.
Awesome, and I am going to invite you.
Blade Dancer Empathy, who has already chewed through one of the Kung Fu Master representatives in this tournament. And maybe that's gonna, I wonder if that's gonna give him an edge in this. And I'm very interested to see this, because I want to see what the difference is in style and approach for Shiro. She seemed to pretty basic strategy. You guys play Dancer, just try to the stun cooldown more aggressively. Tabs were still available sometimes when she committed to it, but she had very good defensive play. Let's see how Red Eyes adjusts. Imperial Tournament, who's gonna get the opener. Empathy commonly got the opener against Shiro, he's gonna get the opener this time around with a grab, but follow up. Blade Barrier being popped. Red Eyes tries to use the Ice Flower, but I think he gets the jump instead. He uses his tab really, and this could be really bad. Here comes the blade draw, animation canceling into the Pentaslash.
И все.
It's gonna do quite a bit of damage.
Все написал GG. Сразу готов погибать.
Gonna backdash and get the knockdown. We've seen that many times.
Не добивает
Blazing palm, but
молниеноской.
doesn't get the CC.
Ждет сейчас
Slow
до
get up option is
следующего
gonna let
захвата
him get out for
и
free. The strafe dodge is gonna avoid the grab.
промазал
That's gonna be a
захват.
sigh of relief for Red Eyes, but he's still very behind.
Вот заюзал ЛСМ антистан в надежде, что сейчас проведет свой финальный комбо. О, поймал на отскок БМ. КФМ и все.
Empathy going up 1-0 against Red Eyes.
Yeah, Red Eye's already calling the GG quite early there. After
Ну,
his
привет.
was gone. Yeah, he was already match.
Yeah, when you open with a tab that early, it's definitely a risky play. I think that is to try to catch your opponent with a tab, chase down the reflex roll, and then outplay your opponent in those next few moments to earn yourself a big stun. Because even though you still has a lot of cooldowns, is able to do a lot of damage, what you're banking on is that you know exactly what your opponent is going to do next. You're going to outplay him, and then you hit your stun on your opponent. And because you yourself use your tab early too, you have a lot of your own cooldowns left. And so you can actually, you know, put him into, say, like a Rising Dragon Pressure Point Tremor Stun combo, and that could end the match in just one go. And I think that's what Red Eyes was going for, but the execution wasn't quite there. Maybe it was too much of a call out for Red Eyes to try for that. And Empathy being really good about making sure Red Eyes has no chance to come back into the game.
Yep, that was definitely a quick match. Not used to seeing that with Red Eyes. Well, we do see him destroying his opponents really quick at some points, but not actually seeing him getting destroyed so quickly.
Yeah, really well done by Empathy. Let's see if he can make that happen again. Red Eyes hopefully going to be a lot more patient.
Вот, задоджил захват.
Gonna respawn.
Точнее, что там было?
В
воздухе.
Triple kick is gonna whiff.
Блоком.
Knockdown. Tries to go for the Rising Dragon, but it whiffs.
Все равно как-то вышел из захвата.
That would have pulled Empathy in.
Пытался стамлочить.
Doesn't exist for North America. He gets countered on a knockdown.
Поймал на
He was
контре.
avoiding very well against his destroyer opponent. He's gonna get animation
Дальше
canceling
продолжает
up
комбить.
too.
Сейчас доджить будет, тут надо доджить.
Damage as if Empathy was a ray
Или
boss.
юзать антистан.
That's gonna put Empathy down at
О,
about
вот
60%
это да.
health. Red Eye still needs
Никак
to
так
find a way
непонятно.
in to get good animation canceling damage. Tries for the sweep, but doesn't get it. Red Eyes
Выхватил
just
из
playing defensive.
стана, вышел
Looking
как-то
for the
из
triple kick
захвата.
proc.
Не
Gets a knockdown.
продолжил
Rising
комбо.
Palm being spent. Rising Dragon being spent. There's a tap finally.
Вот, все,
Trevor is still an
нету
option. Red Eye
эскейпа.
finding some feet on his own. Gets a counterattack with a charge
Ну,
into the air
делать.
combo.
Сейчас
Into
будет
the grab.
делать камбу.
Нам никто не хочет прийти, да.
Red
Высасывается.
Eyes. What can you do after this? Here comes a blade draw. Tab finally being spent, but Blade
Все,
Bearer is
заюзал
gonna
тап,
prevent the days
и
from
теперь
happening. Backdashes. Uses the ice flower.
надо ловить
Keeping a little
на
bit safe.
стан.
Procs
У КФМ
instantly cancels
откатились
the ice
все
block into
свои
partial dance
контроли.
into the Tremor on the reflex roll, and this
О,
is the
лагануло.
end.
Ну все,
Animation
заникенсил.
canceling, repositioning on the
Красава
air
там.
combo.
Поймал на стан. И за стан заникенсил.
That was a good read.
Yeah, especially on the ice combo, just breaking the ice instantly. He wasn't even in there for half a second, and then going for the stun. And Empathy just wasn't ready for that. And
Yep.
yeah, Red Eyes being able to combo out of that and finishing him off. Beautiful mind game, just breaking the ice so quick that Empathy just couldn't react.
Yeah, you got the martial dance into the air combo, and upon landing from the air combo, you use the leading palm. And then, I mean, almost no matter what option Empathy took at that
непонятно.
point, I think it was a lost game because that Tremor, again, on both of your knockdown options, it's very effective.
Как вышел
You still
из
get up, you
первого
still get
захвата
stunned, if you counter, you
КФМ,
still get stunned.
тот просто
Just
его
waited-
уронил,
just
и
waited
этот
that one moment to
просто
make sure
встал.
that the reflex roll
И
was
всё.
accounted for. Empathy chose to use the reflex roll and ended up getting
Это
punished
была
for it.
серьезная такая ошибка, после которой КФМ не мог, ой, ЛСМ закончить камбу. Даже не начать ее не мог. И, соответственно, они все комбят только через захват.
It's
И
gonna be 1-1 now. Red Eyes
потерял
coming alive,
где-то,
put himself on the
ну, процент
scoreboard,
40 дамаги.
tying it up versus Empathy. Empathy has been getting the opener consistently every single time. Let's see if that happens again. Ice block being spent by Red Eyes.
Заморозил, приморозил, чтоб
Trying to dodge away.
не бегал.
Does
Ну
get
всё,
grabbed
вот опять.
again. Drop now into the pentaslash
Вот
for
все, теперь
Empathy.
нормально все.
Classically going for his air combos now. Maybe a lightning draw, and he does do
Так,
it.
комбас,
Gets a
молниеносный.
blade draw stun and straight
Вышел.
away from the
Странно.
tab.
Не надо
Really a
сейчас
good job
юзать
for
было
Empathy. Gets
КФМу.
chased down and dodging the
Антистан,
tab
потому что уже
does Red Eyes.
ЛСМ проюзал все.
Reflex rolls away and doesn't get
Вот
punished.
опрокидывает,
Slow get up and doesn't
он
get
встает
punished on it.
на...
Knockdown
на
into the
подъем.
Rising Dragon, and the counter is actually going to
Вот и
avoid
поймал
that.
опять
That's why you have to use
отскок.
Tremor. And maybe that's a mistake that's going to cost Red Eyes the game.
И
He could have gotten a big combo off of that. Going to get out of the grab and tries for the
плохой,
triple kick.
плохое сейчас
Blade Bearer is gonna stop the
положение
stun
у
from
КФМ, потому что нету
What a fatal error
антистана,
coming back.
у
He's at 10%
ЛСМ есть. Оу,
health, and he has a lot of distance to make up. Gonna use his ice block
Пытается
again.
скатить
Empathy
как-то.
has tab available in about 3 seconds, and a good backdash from Red Eyes to avoid that blade draw. Pentaslash being
О,
dodged again.
пентаслэш
Red Eyes
мимо
has full
пролетел.
stacks on his agility, but gets grabbed
Все,
up, and this
захват
could be the
и
end.
полетела
Gonna get
комба.
dropped.
О, вот опять та же ситуация непонятная. Все, антистан и будет допиливать. О, я бы потерпел до конца, когда... О, допилил. Вот это вот это мышь перенервничала. Мышь перенервничала, и в итоге можно было просто с захвата быстрого аиркомбо уйти и провести ее. Но потом прожал он антистан почему-то, зачем-то рано сильно, когда у него захват не откатился. В итоге словил еще раз стан и все. Надо было антистан юзать и сразу захват. Потерпеть. ХП было много, поэтому... Фул хп было, можно было ждать и ждать. Секунд 8 точно было. Мышь нервничает, видно. Пишет Рюбес КФМ. Ну, тут больше мышь затупила, а мышь на изи размотала.
People down so well, and you have so many evades that even if you're at 10%, it's not that easy for the enemy to just finish you off. It's just never give up, and yeah, it paid out, and he just clutched the win there.
And Empathy did very well to punish the reflex roll with his vortex, and that ended up giving Red Eyes the opportunity he needed to win. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. So Red Eyes is gonna take the first game.
Done, да и хз. Это опять классика с рывка, или... И пошла аиркомбо. Захват. А, вон почему было бросать сразу КФМ, потому что тут юзает лед. КФМ успел писать. Антистан развел на антистан, не видел, КФМ заюзал антистан, нет? Но сейчас маленечко есть время, чтобы покатить до следующей аиркомбо. Если не успеет, пока отсосет ци. Пошел комбит. Да. Ну опять лаг. Ну, в общем, допилил. Ну вот опять мышь отдала рано антистан.
Absolutely destroying Empathy at the end there.
Oh my god.
So much damage. How does he even
into
do
the Iron
that?
Mountain, and this is one of the, I mean, that's one of the things that we see Red Eyes making.
Хороший тайминг у КФМ все-таки по этим по станлоку.
Block into the Iron Mountain F days. And then his opponent used a reflex roll, but Blazing Palm with the 8-meter range just catches it. And from then on, it was just animation canceling, tremor, pressure point, more animation canceling. Launcher, who needs it? We're just gonna kill you.
But Reda is actually being... He wrote please just during the match. I'm not sure if he's complaining about ping or something, but something didn't quite happen as he wanted it. And even though, even though there's stuff, you know, concentrates, gets back into the game and just, puts down such impressive animation cancelling and such a impressive game sense. Oh, he's saying it was an RNG, so maybe an RNG dodge. Yeah, 40% RNG evade. That's always infuriating if that happens.
Regardless, the execution from Red Eyes right now is on point.
It is, yes.
Flex rolls being chased down and smart decision making with his cooldowns. Brings them the win. I believe he's going to be.
Ну вот начал КФМ со льда. Теперь у него захвата пока где-то секунд 15 нет хода. Ну, классика. Начинает с аиркомбы. Сейчас даст. Да, все. Ловит на контре. Куешит. Пытается поймать на блок. Вот пидослэшем. Теперь будет ловить. Ну, будет разводить на антистан. Сейчас после приземления надо дать стан, и это ЕСС. Все, кажется, Непонятно, прожал, не прожал.
To get the knockdown,
Вот сейчас,
beautiful
по-моему, прожал.
backdash to avoid the grab,
Всё,
and get the
подсечка.
knockdown. He tries to go
О,
for the
отскок.
counter, but gets parry
Опасно
stunned.
вот
That's
теперь.
one of the things
Этот
about
отскок
Kung Fu
был
Master counter in this
прям
matchup.
ненужный.
Is if you time it
Сейчас
badly, you
будет
can get
захват.
parry stunned. He tries to go for the tremor, but doesn't land it. Tab is not available
Вот
for the
опять
blade
этот
dancer, but
классный
there's
удар.
not a lot of CC left on the table for Rudeus.
Все, щиты врубил,
May
сейчас
have a
будет
few
это,
days, spends his own tab and
напирать
nice block to
немножко.
get some safety. Tries to go in with his right button charge, gets the knockdown, another backdash on the grab. Red Eye is
опять-
so good on his defensive. Get the stun.
О,
He's got a martial dance into the air combo. 1 second
Ну,
left
не
on
знаю,
the tab.
как-то-
Empathy
как-то,
can't
короче-
get out of this situation, and he's going to spend the tab to
Вот,
do it.
сейчас
Penta
пошел
slash into the
антистан.
air combo, and this could be the end.
Сейчас
This
пентаслэш,
could be
сейчас
the
будет
end.
захват.
He doesn't have the chi, he gets the
А,
lightning
захвата
drop.
нет.
Oh my god, and the counter just
Ну
barely
всё, проиграл
avoiding
Сэм.
that terrible
Захвата
situation.
нет,
He could've closed the game out
до
there if he was
эркомбы
just a
далеко.
little more patient. And this is a very tense situation, but we have seen Red Eyes with his
Да,
back against the wall.
ребята говорят,
Does the
что у них
backdash,
хватило
tries to get the
терпения.
knockdown, but Empathy reads it. And uses his
Надо
blade barrier.
щит,
This is
сейчас
very
можно
dangerous.
немножко
Reflex
спасти
roll.
положение,
He chases down
можно
tab, he's
что-нибудь.
being spent. He
Оу.
chases it down. There's
Всё,
no tab.
пошло.
There's a tremor, guys. He
Все, умер.
finally does it with the air combo. Oh my god.
Да,
what can you do?
немножко
You
до
can't kill this
захвата
guy.
не дотерпел. ЛСМ опять рано
You
отдает
cannot
тап и
kill
не
him.
нервничает, видимо.
He's just so good in controlling the match and always knowing when to use his evades. And Empathy is just not able to get enough CC on him to actually lay down the damage. And yeah, whereas it's not just the animation cancelling obviously that he does, it is just being able to, you know, mind game the opponent, always knowing when to use his dodges, when to use his blocks, and just such an impressive play that he's doing.
Thing that really gave Red Eyes that turnaround was, you have to know that on the counter for Kung Fu Masters, when they put their arm down, that's not when the counter is over.
Gotta wait for the lag.
Oh, Empathy wants to take a break.
Alright. Did he say how
He
long?
left the match. I don't know. He just left the lobby. Maybe he doesn't know it's best of 5.
Ну,
But so
ребята
right
говорят,
now
по
it
5.
is, oh yeah, it's 2 sets in favor of Red Eye, so yeah, that he has to win.
Okay. We're back into the lobby and we're readied up.
Alright, awesome.
I think he just thought it was a best of 3.
Okay. Okay, the invite is
What was
out.
I saying? But yeah, with the Kung Fu Master counter on the floor, you have to know that it lasts a very long time. When they put down their arms, it's actually not over. And Empathy actually made the mistake in winning down, and he decided to go in for his blade draw, and that immuned the damage. If that damage had gone through, Red Eyes would have been dead for sure, guaranteed.
Yeah.
But he hit into the counter. He get up on his own 2 feet, get on the floor, and D. He just couldn't catch him ever again. That little misstep lost him the round, and that's gonna put Red Eyes up, I think, to his second set, I believe.
Yes, that is correct.
He uses strafe dodge. Nobody just yet gets countered by the spin. That's gonna earn Empathy.
Ну, блядь, классическое начало опять с эркомбой.
Lightning draw, 50% health again. Again, that's that situation.
Опять на
You have to wait.
да,
You
на
have to wait for the
полтишок.
counter. You can't go too early.
Снял.
Slow get up, not punished. Gets a
Стал
pressure
просто
point
с
on Empathy.
единички.
Triple kick. Tries to get some stacks up. He's gonna use the animation canceling. He's got
Вот
the
опять
knockdown.
СС рано
Imagine that the
проюзал
pressure diffused that
ЛСМ, надо было
situation.
ждать СС КФМ.
And
Посмотрели
instead,
немножко
Empathy
трусы
gets the air combo.
КФМа.
This is a bad position for Red Eyes. This could be really bad. He uses the Rising Dragon, but doesn't quite get it. The spin is going to be make him immune to the stun.
Вешает.
There's the
О,
vortex,
на
reflex
бафе
roll, being chased
Кьюепа
down,
поймал
tapping, spin
этого
flex roll from
дракона.
Empathy
Raising
with the
Dragon.
blazing palm into the air combo. Tap. He's looking for
О, проюзал антистап.
now.
Ой, антистап.
Good tremor.
Антистап. Да что ж за
He's
херня
going to trip
лагает.
him. He could use tremor, and there it is on the reflex roll.
Всё,
Here
юзает
it comes.
стан.
Here it comes. He's going to go for the air combo.
Всё,
Not quite
это
enough to
стан
kill,
был.
but it's going to be damn close. He gets the grapple. No. No, I don't really know why.
О,
He can't grapple.
увернулся от
Blade Breaker spent
захвата.
now. And Empathy getting back a
Ну,
little bit of
это
health.
всё.
Gets knocked down. Reflex roll being spent.
ЛСМ плохая
This is a very
ситуация.
dangerous situation. Misses the sweep into the air, and I believe lightning draws up. This could be the end.
О,
This
поймал.
might be the end. Here comes a big crit. Oh my god.
О,
Empathy
кританул.
finally looking alive.
I'm really not sure
Поймал,
what
поймал
happened
на
on
этом.
the air combo there. That he didn't get the grapple.
Oh my god.
Like he
That
used
that
it,
probably could have ended it.
and like he used it, and suddenly in the air he just couldn't grab him. It's like he missed him.
Yeah. Healed him up. If he He got the grapple. He could have just left button, left button, left button. It could have ended the match. But instead, Empathy is going to take it. A good comeback from him. So Empathy, now finding himself one round in what could be the last set.
Idea what happened there. So it must have been some kind of really unfortunate. Probably.
Ребята, конечно, говорит, у нас не лагает Twitch, сами рядом с хостом сидят, еще бы не лагал у них.
Yes. This game is very back and forth, and the smallest of differences can change the outcome of the match. Players are going to need to know how to handle those situations as best as they can. And Empathy, again, like normal, getting the opener, and we've seen this time and time again. Air combos. He doesn't get the follow-up. That's interesting.
Квие непонятно зачем Квие сейчас налупил. Пытается подойти под щитом. Опять-таки щит непонятно для чего заюзал. Все, подсечку словил, теперь ловит, поймал на эвке. И пошла эркамба. Стан. О, поймал отскок стаба. И теперь ловит. И проюзал в лед.
There's a tremor on the guard. Tab finally being spent by Empathy. Ryudeus needs to survive the next few moments if he wants to close out this match. He's going to spend the Ice Flyer to do so. And actually procs it. That's going to give him a little bit of safety. And another good strafe. Finally the triple kicks hit.
На стан поймал все-таки. Сейчас вроде как у Лосама нет антистана. Будет ловить. Все, на эвке четко. КФМ на эвке ловит. Ну вот сейчас делает, ну мы знаем, что 50% своего камбы. О, поймал на контр! Красава! Поймал на контр. Ну, собственно говоря, ничего бы этот контр не решил, он бы мог там ему хоть всю полную связку R-комбы просунуть на 50%, там у него где-то 70 было, и потом влупил бы. Ну, добил, конечно, на контре красиво.
I know why he countered exactly the start, because he knew Empathy.
It was the best option.
Yeah, Empathy had to finish the grab early, because else he would have just died to the one. Yeah, he would have just gotten kicked to death. So that was so incredibly flashy. What a finish.
He was ready for it. Watching Red Eye streamer. That's
Привет,
one of the
Паша.
things that he's really fast at. Like the instant he gets grabbed, he's really fast at hitting the counter button.
Ты наконец-то нашел кнопку follow на моем стриме.
To avoid like any kind of sketchy situation, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But Red Eyes is so fast, he just smacks his keyboard and does the counter. Oh my god. And gets the counter to close out the match.
And that's the second time he gets a really flashy finish.
Так, насколько я понял, это Best of 3 у них такой по 3 раунда, по 2 точнее. Я не знаю, ну, это либо последний бой, либо еще 2. Ой, либо еще 2 раунда по 3. Ну вот, опять начинает ЛСМ. Турнир Евро идет. Уже финал, финальный бой. Довольно читаемый ЛСМ. И довольно-таки, ну, скиллованный КФМ на... Ну, знает, как делать. Поймал на эвке. Эркамба пошла. Отменил пентаслэш, что ли? О, это первая победа, что ли, сам. Из блока нет. Какую-то молнию юзает, там, не знаю, что за молния. Все, пытается затабать. Все, занервничал КФ. Отошел передохнуть с подсечкой. Сейчас будет станлог будет. А, все, ничего нету, надо кайтить. Но у ЛСМ откатился захват, сейчас начнется. Все. Заюзал антистан. Айсблок. Пентаслэш. Задоджил пентаслэш, красава. Как-то странно на эвке ушел. Поймал на контр. Опять Rising Dragon. Поймал. Лочит. Смотри. Станлок. Красава. На
So
отскок.
close. He
На
was nearly
бога.
there.
Ну, красиво,
He
красиво.
nearly came back
Хорошо играет
again.
КФМ.
Again, he nearly came back.
Oh man, and that actually gives the set to Empathy, right? He won one match before in the set, and with that, Red Eyes is 2 matches again to get the first place.
Red Eyes is gonna need somebody to help clean up his computer desk because I'm sure Mom Spaghetti is all over the place right now.
Oh man.
God. Oh my God, he nearly did it again.
Just again with the turnaround. You already called it. You called that he is going to win. And then he whiffs it at the very end into the tag into the counter.
Ну, я бы не
and
сказал, что
gets
КФМ
killed
просто.
by Empathy.
ЛСМ для домохозяек, да, возможно. КФМ, кстати, дерет вообще
So I
ЛСМ.
believe that
Он,
resets the
ну,
round.
нормально
It
так.
does, yes.
На эвках ловит,
Puts
прям
himself
знает,
up on the
когда
board
там
one
подсечку
set.
дать.
He's on his way back, but he still has a lot to make up. There's a long road ahead.
Ну, не знаю, какой на
Red Eyes
Евро
is
скилл
playing
бил.
so well. And I hope you guys understand when I say this. I mean, I am a little biased.
Походу
to Red Eyes,
3-0,
but
и у
this
нас будет тоже
is
3-0.
just fantastic kung fu
Судя
basketball.
по
This is really
этим,
quite fantastic. You won't
по
see very
беседам
much
с
play like
разработчиком, вроде как ничего не заявляли еще, но я
Red Eyes
думаю, что
making it
будет
happen.
все-таки 3-0.
Unfortunately, in that last round, he had the win, but just wasn't able to quite close it out. A tragic loss, but he still needs to continue. I hope that didn't affect his mental fortitude that much. Empathy on his way back, finally taking a set. He's always been getting the openers consistently.
Все-таки best of
Red Eye's
5.
gonna open with the martial dance, however, punishes the reflex roll with the blazing fist, and this is really big for him. This is the first time we're gonna get to
О,
see this.
как это
Rising
ЛСМ не
Dragon.
начал с камбы. О, просрал этот антистан.
Blade Dancer is
И
about
пошел в
60%
камбу.
health. He has
Понял.
his blade barrier, so that will
Сейчас
heal him
опять
up a bit.
потеряет 50% где-то
Tab is down.
ХП.
Oh, he gets the
О,
counter!
на
He gets the
контре
counter!
опять
Oh
поймал.
God, he didn't capitalize on it quite X-roll. Chased down by the
Показал
counter.
на свои черные трусы и
First
пошел
stun.
ловить
Blade barrier being spent,
это
and the blade
отскок.
dancer. There's a
Вот,
touch him into the air.
профукал антистан
This is really close.
и
Does he have
с
any
подсечки
cooldowns? He
в воздух
misses the blazing
запустил. Ловит на блоке.
punished by Red Eyes, but he can't quite close it out.
Блин, лагает так стрим, вообще жесть.
It off.
Ты чего
Oh my
времени?
God, just one more hit. Rising
Ну,
Dragon
уж
wins.
сори.
Just one more hit.
О, Райзен Драгоном не
There was
попал.
4
Все, ну чем-то
seconds left on the
доковырял.
blade barrier. Empathy.
Блин, да что же за лаги
Empathy.
такие?
Oh my
Даже
God,
через
he was so
проигрыватель,
close to
которые
surviving until his
трафик.
blade barrier came back up, but Red Eyes.
Короче, что бы они
Finishing
ни
the
говорили,
job.
у них буферит из-за того,
And
что
this time Red Eyes
начинает
is
показывать
showing,
фуллскрин.
no, not like this.
Вот когда сейчас
He
показывает, ничего не
wants to
буферит,
win
не
this
лагает.
now, not like
Not
this.
like this.
Ну
He
ладно,
has one more win.
Yes, and
One more
again,
win to make up.
жопа, как есть,
Red
так
Eyes
есть.
back to match point. Yep. That's
Дауны
all he needs
не
now,
хотят,
just
чтобы
one more win. And
их
his
стрим
time to
смотрели,
set
кроме
where
как
his
где-то
empathy needs 2
чем
wins
как в
in a row.
Европе.
And
Поэтому YouTube
that's,
не хотят
that's gonna
стримить.
be a big mountain to climb for him. Oh man.
And in this position, if you're behind in the best of 5 series,
Да, КФМ крутой,
you
я
have
же
to
тебе говорю, что
constantly
он
win
прям
and
ловит
reset
вообще
and
на
win
всем.
and reset, and you know that
Yeah.
this is an incredible amount of pressure on Empathy, and he's holding up quite well on his own.
But we saw the counter on the grab, and Empathy's really reliant right now on getting the force choke and then comboing out of that. And
Yeah.
Red Eyes just denying him that with the counter.
And on
finishing
top
off
of the
the
fact that
match.
in that game, Red Eyes actually got the opener and not Empathy,
Опять
really helped
классический
put the
лаги.
momentum in his favor. Oh my God, and a
What,
beautiful
ice
ice
cube.
block and avoid the stun. Well done by Red Eyes. Tries to triple kick, but whiffs. Blazing Palm also
Так,
whiffs. Vortex,
Старипло
reflex roll, being
поймал
chased down
опять
by the charge stun.
аэрокомбо.
And Empathy finding a good way to open this match. A lot of cooldown spent by Red Eyes, but no damage done. Favorable situation for the
Фейсблок
Blade Dancer
опять.
right now. Straight.
Дождь
Triple kick
атакует.
skip. It's blocked by the barrier, and Empathy has all the answers. But
Ловит
he's spending a
спину
lot of
какую-то молнию
cooldowns.
опять чудную.
Pentaslash.
Опять
being
куешь.
smartly on it. Sweep.
Причем кун юзает, не сразу
What's he
куе.
gonna do? Slow
Ну,
get
я
up. No
вкус
punish.
сначала, потом
Gets
маленечко
kicked
е.
down on his own reflex roll by Red Eyes into the
Вот,
knockdown.
за эфки
Tap
нету.
being spent.
Заюзал
Reflex roll
дистан.
being chased down. This is it. He can
Будет
animation
пытаться
cancel. There's the
заезжать,
blazing
потому
fist.
что надо
Where's the
тянуть
pressure
тебе
point?
время.
The Rising Dragon, Tremor.
А у
Pressure
нету,
point.
у
Doesn't need
ЛСМ
it.
когда-то
He's just gonna
просрал
animation cancel.
дистан.
Into the
Все.
air. He does it. He closes it
Фу.
out. Red Eyes is a tournament winner with a beautiful string of CC. That is your textbook Kung Fu Master combo. You watch any
У
video
него
that
после
gives you
3
guys how to do
НВЛ
animation
6
canceling
секунд
and
уклонения
partial dance,
100%.
animation
Ну вот надо ЛСМ уловить эти 100% захват просто. Это же уклонение только от этих от ударов.
It's the air combat
Скиллы-то
ice
не
takes
задоджит,
it
мне кажется. Захват.
first place tournament.
Привет, Кирита.
Yeah, congratulations to Red
К
Eyes.
сожалению, уже
Well deserved.
под самый занавес.
Amazing play. Just with the mind games always being so good when he needs to, you know, use his tab, when to dodge. Really, really well played. Well deserved. Congrats, dude.
Oh my god, and I don't know how am I gonna do the North American tournament now, because this was just way too exciting.
Yeah, now you probably just have to lie down for a bit.
I have to stare at the ceiling.
Божий станлок, да, божий. Прям вообще.
Hot bath and I mean I feel
Не, пацан знает,
like I've
как
hyped him up
как
more than enough
играть
in this
КФМ,
tournament.
это
Like, he
100
takes
пудов.
it first place.
Прям
All the
эвки
tournaments
ловит.
we've casted, the first time a Kung Fu Master.
По мне самое тяжелое вот эту
very deserving.
микросекунду поймать, когда на эвке откатываться,
all throughout the
когда
tournament,
дать. Ну,
smart
по
plays,
крайней
good
мере для меня,
reads,
как для дестера, потому что скиллов
Good
мало
execution
таких.
on his combos. And empathy.
Ну, не на полный
He
процент,
fought
на
hard.
80. Но до
He
этого
won a
он
few
на стан
rounds, he
развел, ой,
did
на
really well.
антистан развел.
And he made it his way all the way up to the finals of this tournament. He even defeated
ЛСМ
Shiro.
довольно-таки, ну, не простак,
Has
но он
experience in Kung Fu
довольно-таки
Master
играет
matchup,
так.
What can I say, man?
Заскриптованно, я бы
It comes down to player skill
сказал.
at this point in time.
Yeah. Yeah, Red Eyes just really know
Особенно,
how to
как он
play the
против
game.
Дестра
And
играл,
rocking
это
his
вообще
nurse
забей.
outfit once again.
Прям просто классика.
Destroying people and heals. I
Дает
mean,
первую
that's where
комбу
the
с
damage
этим,
coming
с
from. Getting kicked into the face with a
молниеноской,
heal.
потом
That
опять
hurts.
комбу
That
просто
really
и
hurts.
опять. Потом третью комбу
Yeah,
с молниеноской, до этого как бы разводит на
Yeah,
антистан и
as
все.
earlier announced, I guess now it's time for the giveaway. I think Everest is already here in Skype with us. At
Yeah,
least I
so-
see him. Oh yeah, there he is.
Ну все, короче,
Yep,
походу КФМ
so-
победил.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna have
Пацаны
you
в
type
шоке.
a word in chat. Ari, can you set that up for us?
Alright, yeah, sure. Just give me a sec. Just let me know which word you want.
Something based
Если кому
on
надо, запись этого
this.
безобразия будет сохранена на Ютубе где-то часа через 2 только зарендерится.
Alright.
Fist of Fury? Sure.
Oh,
Быстрая запись на Твиче, но не у всех норм Твиче. Сразу я вот сейчас закончу его,
so the word is going
и
to be fist
практически
of
сразу
fury,
на Твиче
guys.
появится
Type it into chat.
пас
Have a
брокаст.
chance to win. Make sure that you're following the stream to even have a chance in winning.
Сейчас
If
они
you're not
будут
following, we will sadly
разыгрывать этот
not be able to select you as a winner.
Initiate пак.
So yeah, the initiate pack.
Я не
Not
знаю,
too bad.
Паш, тот это КФМ или не тот.
As we
Ник
said last
мне
time.
абсолютно не знаком.
Also, we would just like to say that after the stream, we will be hosting watch his personal stream.
Oh yeah, you should definitely do that.
Yeah, and you
For
can
sure.
watch the god firsthand.
First hand, I see what you did there. Hand Kung Fu Master.
Yeah, you got it. I'm glad you got that one.
English.
Ну, если никто, значит, тот КФМ. Можно посмотреть, там же у них осталось в их темке надо.
Alright, so
Ну, выше КФМ
wait
до
just a
Талова.
little bit
КФМ
longer.
ванлов у него.
And while we wait,
Лупит
usual,
пацан,
guys,
поди
remember,
надрочился,
after this
ну,
we
где-нибудь на
how many
Японии, на
how long
Корее,
was it?
там,
2.5
везде, где
hours.
можно. Поиграл.
Until the
Реально
NA
там
tournament.
пинг
alright,
поменьше.
so yeah,
Ну
later
вот,
tonight
и
we will
как
have the
итог.
NA tournament.
Выиграл.
And again, you should
Молодец.
definitely check it out. Hosted
Бив
by
где-то, я не
Imperial
знаю, где
once
он там
again,
посередине.
our NA site.
Отвалился,
We're
хз,
gonna have a
надо
lot of
сетку
awesome
посмотреть.
matches there
Сетку
as well,
сейчас скину, если
so
что.
definitely make sure to check that out. And after that, on Sunday, we will have the high fidelity
Вот сетка.
tournament on Europe, which, as the name says, is hosted by the guild High Fidelity. So if those two tournaments will not come back tomorrow, I believe it will be 6 p.m. CET, their stream. It's definitely enjoyable to watch. Hopefully we'll get, for example, Beth this time, or that time
Мы
around.
КФМ, который победил
Our
в
tournament,
турнире.
we sadly overslept. And yeah, if you want to see some, for example, Force Master gameplay, which we weren't really able to see this time around, I'm pretty sure he'll get far enough into their tournament. So yeah, make sure to do that.
Alright, let's roll.
Что-то они про завтра про турнир говорят, не знаю, посмотрим, вроде
The
что
winner
завтра,
is
может что-то.
Pura Minx. Congrats. I'm gonna type the name into chat. Congratulations, dude. You won the initiated pack. We're gonna send you the code. I think, yeah, in just a little bit.
Alright, yeah, we'll definitely get that to you very soon.
Глянуть, я не знаю, где глянуть, как он победил, можно у меня сейчас на пас-бродкаст на Твиче или через пару часов на Ютубе. Лагает, конечно, у них, я не знаю, можно у них посмотреть, если пас-бродкаст идет, то записывают. По-моему, они не пас-бродкаст делают, а выделенные моменты. Не знаю, сейчас ссылку дам.
Deliver to their promise, always helping us out, and see that the developer is behind the esports scene.
Any final thoughts, you guys?
No, I'm just really happy that we've seen Red Ace this time around in the tournament, that he's been able to take it after getting kicked out in the first round last time. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. We've seen a lot of different classes, which is always great. Yeah, it's been awesome. And thanks for everyone who signed up for the tournaments. We couldn't do it without those people. And thanks.
Вот это если тебе надо прям вот с их с английским болтовней.
See you guys, and yeah, we'll see you on release. Bye bye.
Bye.
Вот это у них будет сейчас, ну, как бы их запись. Может быть, у них есть, но они вроде сохраняют, ну, не знаю. У меня на Твиче сейчас прошлой трансляции там есть. Можешь посмотреть. И на Ютубе сейчас я прекращу трансляцию, зарендерится где-то часа через 2 там с моими комментариями, с нубскими, не знаю. Никто мне не особо не хотел помогать в этом деле, поэтому. Вот как видел, как лагало там, что мог, что то говорил. Ну, вроде как по своим ощущениям. Конечно, со скиллами я не особо, алё, там 3-0 вот эти, только пиратки. Ну, в целом, я не вижу таких ярых прям изменений, какие-то, может, нюансы добавились, но в целом почти то же самое. Что вы все, спасибо, что смотрели. Тычите подписываться на канал, скоро, может быть, доступ в альфу получу, будем стримить альфу. На следующей неделе вроде обещали. Вот, так что пока вот так. Все, давайте пока всем.